finish.
At the beginning, I reached out to all the news media, the traditional media I could.
Yeah.
With a good story, right? There were 4 best friends who does that, quits in their 30s to get into the underwear game. Like nobody does that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's a worthy story. So at the beginning, made connections, made relationships, and 2 years later, we're still doing them because they want to continue hearing about the growth.
Are you going back to the same people you've like? Okay, sweet. Yeah, so they're
it's the same. And what's cool about CTV, it's across Canada. So there are some markets that are less interested because they're just bigger markets. Example, Toronto and Montreal.
Those are big.
So, and BC. So those ones, they don't really want quarterly, but Edmonton, Winnipeg, Atlantic, Canada.
You've done all these?
Yeah.
You've gone to all these places?
No. I've gone only to Ottawa and Hamilton. Funny story. So Hamilton is in Southern Ontario.
Right.
And Southern Ontario occupies about 8 million out of the 30 that are in Canada. So you're looking at 1/3 of the population in this dense area.
Like Toronto is a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're looking at, really close for shipping.
Yeah.
Like really, it touches home for them, right? And being on that show, it was crazy how much traction we got. And it just gives you that credibility that people are like, oh, if they're going on CTV, if they're going on CHCH, they must be good.
At this point, I don't think it's a question. I don't think it's a question of if you guys are legit. Like it's.
But we have to get there.
Yeah.
At the beginning, a lot of people are like, it's scammy, or is it on internet?
It's super new.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. You registered your business in 2020.
Yeah.
I only know that because I was Googling. Like I didn't know what the official business name was. Like I wasn't sure if it was Manmade Inc. or whatever. And it turns out it's Manmade Products for Men.
For men, yeah.
I checked that. It's just
Manmade Produits pour hommes.
Yeah. So
but we had that business we had that incorporation 2 years ago because we knew what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Even more. 2020 was 4 years ago. So before we wanted to actually do what we wanted to do, or 3 years ago.
But it's really like, I mean,
it's 3 years.
Yeah.
So in September, it's going to be 2 full years of September. I say September 1st, but it's August 30th. It's going to be exactly 2-year anniversary of being launched. But it took a whole year.
I remember the build-up
of conceptualization and thinking about things and getting the product ready and getting the website ready and they're like really knowing what the fuck Manmade is.
Yeah.
Being 4 guys, you can't have any confusions. You can't be confused.
I have a bunch of questions about about that, and I even got questions from students. That's cool because
I'm good till whenever. I only have a meeting at 2-ish, so I'm good.
That's perfect.
1:30.
Yeah, because for students, I told them like, I'm interviewing a few. I have a few entrepreneurs, like local young entrepreneurs lined up. So there's you. I have Jake from Midday
Square is a good friend of mine.
I'm speaking to him Monday. So like
he's full of energy. Get ready.
I've never met him.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah,
he's the best.
So anyway, so they had a lot of questions for you guys because like they all want to start their business and stuff, which is cool.
That's amazing.
Before we get to that, maybe we'll get started with just a bit about you, I guess. Like I obviously know you very well. Some students don't. Background. So I'll give my version of it, and then you'll fill up the whole story. So, finance guy.
Yeah.
Banker, right? You went to JMSB in?
Marketing.
Okay.
First marketing, then management. So major in management, minor in marketing.
That's funny. That's going to change one of my questions at some point. But okay. Besides that, so start from there.
Okay. So I went to JMSB. Fun fact: I never really completed my degree. I have 5 or 6 courses left to finish. So
do you want to go back?
No. I don't.
That's the right answer. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
The only reason why I would is because I remember promising myself that I would finish.
Okay.
But I realized in my late 20s, early 30s, that whatever I was going to take out of school would have not benefited me more than learning on the field.
Yeah.
Learning by breaking my face.
Yeah.
And just figuring it out. And also surrounding myself with 3 of my best friends.
Yeah.
Who really, for me, are 3 of the smartest guys that I know. Right, I know a lot of smart guys, you included, but these guys, the timing aligned itself at the time when we had started. So going back, I was a banker for like 10 years. It's my first real job. I ended up working at the bank starting 18 till 28.
Did you start at the bottom and work your way up to a certain point?
Yeah, I was a part-time student. I was a full-time student and a part-time worker.
Okay.
And then I switched to full-time worker, part-time student.
Okay.
I kind of always knew I wasn't like a studious type. Like I didn't learn well in school, in class, was funny because elementary through Sec 5, like finishing Sec 5, I was really, really good. And then in CEGEP, I was pretty good. But then obviously, I had my girlfriend, I had friends, I had parties, and I wanted to be social. That's what I do. So, grades, I just kept it normal, just made sure that I didn't fail and continued going forward. And then I hit university and I realized that my strong suit isn't being in class and learning from a professor with 300 students there. But I had a burning fire in me all the time. I knew that I wanted to do something greater than me. But I thought at the time being at the bank and going up the corporate ladder was the right way to go. And I was convinced of that.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to get out of retail banking. I did that for like 7 years. I loved it. But I guess I didn't feel challenged at a certain point. So I wanted to go into corporate, thinking that, at corporate banking, I'm going to deal with more money and, more bigger profiles and all that. I did. And that's what I really loved about it, because they're very interesting individuals, not because of their money, but more because of their mindset.
Right.
And I think that's what propelled me into actually starting a business, constantly speaking to entrepreneurs.
So then up until that point, some people grow up thinking, I want to own a business, I want to start a business. So up until that point, that started for you at that point?
I knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial or commission-based. That started about that way. So I remember being at the bank and I said, eventually I'm going to have to switch over to a commission-based job because I don't like being capped. Right. Yeah, I want to be rewarded for what I bring in, because I used to bring quite a bit for the bank. Yeah. But I was still in school. So that was my little crutch. Because I was still in school, I just dealt with it. Yeah. I said, when I finish school, then I'm going to focus 100% on my career, and that's when I'm actually going to be able to take the leap of faith with commission. But I never really held on to the salary. Like, I didn't really care. I realized like 50, 60, 70 is a great salary, but I mean, between 60 and 70, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Right? Because I wanted to really focus on my sharpening my skills. That was my goal. And then I met these individuals at the bank, which really propelled to me wanting to say, you know what, I can probably start a business and do something. But I needed to know what. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what my skill sets were, which is sales, building relationships, networking, figuring it out. Yeah. Being able to have something in front of me, and maybe I won't be able to do it myself, but I'm very resourceful, I like to think, where I can actually get resources and the right resources to get the job done. And that's it. So then we went up north. So let's backtrack. Yeah. I got into, so in that private banking world, I met Sharif, who was someone who was a customer and I really connected with. And he was in the online world, and he dealt with e-commerce businesses and provided them merchant accounts in order for them to transact online using Visa, MasterCard, Amex, the regular suspects. Okay. And that intrigued me, and he liked me, and he asked if I was interested in working for him. He was a one-man show. He was a broker. Picture it as a mortgage broker. You get mortgages, you get paid your commission. Just this way, because it's an actual business, every time they have transactions that go through their merchant account, you get paid according to that on a monthly basis. Right. So on volume. And he taught me the business in payments. So when I say payments, once again, think of Monaris, think of... like payment processing. Right? A lot of people think payments is like, what are you, a loan shark or something? Yeah. So I learned that business, and I surrounded myself with him, and then he ended up going into a merger with his brother-in-law, who today is the CEO of PayFacto. Okay. His name is Marty LaRue. And the both of them were very, very big, mentors. And I looked up to them, and that's where I swam in their waters, and I was breathing their air every single day. And at that point, I saw opportunity, and I liked what I was doing, and I liked that world, and I felt like school was just going to slow me down because I had to be there for certain meetings. I was very fortunate to be able to be at meetings with other business owners that own online businesses and that discuss their business and their pain points and their growth and all that. And I got to learn about, marketing and traffic and payment processing and all these different on the direct-to-consumer buzzwords that just really made me excited. And that's it. So then I really started to love it. So I ended up putting school in the back burner and saying, you know what, this will be my school. Yeah. And it's probably the best decision I probably ever made.
I feel like I remember that. I remember I was talking on the phone and you were it wasn't like an easy decision for you, right? Like initially to make the jump.
No, I battled with it a lot. And that's funny because then Phil, at the time, he was figuring himself out. He had real estate and he was figuring himself out, but he was the one who I was most interested in about what I was doing. Because he's like, I thought you were going to be a banker the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I wasn't conservative in terms of like risk averse, but I was, I had a plan, you know, and and I'm very vocal about what my plans are with my friends, finish school, get a good job, get something in commission, probably mortgage broker, or investment advisor, or something of that nature, and then get married, have kids, and the whole thing. So then when he heard I quit and I went to go work for Payfacto, he got really intrigued and he was asking me questions, and he was always into online businesses. He has a funny story. He had a little mini online business when he was a kid, and he did well, but no more than that.
Okay.
So long story short, he was actually the next guy up because Sharif and Marty really loved what I was doing and the passion that I was bringing in the youth, I guess. And and he's like, do you have somebody else like you? So I said, sure.
I got a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I remember like these guys were like, I wanted to really like perform. So I'm like, I need to get somebody who is not going to be like on the fence and doesn't know that, oh, maybe I have a good job and I'm going to risk it all for this. And what if it doesn't work out? Like he's a purebred nomad, and like he's like not nomad, but he's like a purebred entrepreneur in a sense.
Yeah.
He did the bank thing, but he always knew like the real estate was going to be the route he was going to take, and he didn't really do well with rules and red tape.
Right.
So at the time, it would fit really well, and I asked him, and he said yes. And then our boss said, well, right now we don't really need him. And then he offered to work for free.
Wow.
And he did 3 months.
Okay.
Free.
Yeah.
No pay.
Is he still doing his real estate a bit
15 hours a week. A day. Every day.
Crazy.
I worked like a savage with Phil. We learned a lot about ecom and and all that. And then Berto, so then the team grew up at Payfacto, and then Berto heard about what me and Phil were doing, and Berto's a CPA by profession, and then he ended up leaving his job because he wanted to start his own business and like just explore outside of just the EY at the time he was working. And he did that, and then he jumped on board with us. We did a little stretch, about a year. But then what happened was it went from a mom and pop type of feel, 15 employees, and they ended up acquiring a huge business and really going to hyper growth.
Yeah.
So back in 2018, 19, fintech was like the buzzword.
Right.
And you could grow a business very rapidly, and then there was an exit plan, and we were all on board for that. And long story short, from 15 employees, they became like 300.
What?
Today, I think they're in the thousands. They're massive.
Really?
So I had a talk with Sharif and Marty, and we kind of told them, listen, at the end of the day, we always liked the whole mom and pop thing. I used to love coming to meetings with you, learning this and that. Now it's like kind of like my job is he's like, yeah, you're going to become like a sales rep, and you're going to have a whole territory. And they promised me like, and they would have delivered, like I'm really good pay and everything. But I got a taste of it. And then it's crazy because once you get a taste of being on your own and feeling the entrepreneurship spirit, you start to gain that confidence, that big mo, and then you're like, I can do this. If there's a time to do this, it's now.
Yeah.
So I kind of told them, we're going to branch out and we're going to work not for you, but with you. Yeah. So we're going to be agents of our own, and we're going to acquire businesses, and we're going to bring them to your payment processing bank. And we did that for a year, but that was being a self-employed. You're creating a job for yourself, and it was a good job, right? So it was decent money, working with your best friends. It was fun.
Yeah.
But the more time went, the more we all looked at each other in their face and we're like, this is not our true passion.
Payment processing.
Right. Our true passion is, we always thought about building a brand, right? And
that's so hard, man. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. But I remember clearly, we were all like, okay, if we build this, we're not going to build it, and it's not going to be like without us, there's no business, right? And yes, you can get employees and you can build a payment processing company, but that's not really what we wanted to do because we were in that with them, and they would have probably give us equity eventually and all that stuff. So we decided not to do that, and then we started looking at each other in the face and saying, okay, we need to start figuring that out. Let's figure something out. The four of us, we work well together. We treat business very seriously. We all have our strong suits. We all know when one comes in clutch, and we know like what Rob's really good at, what Bertle's really good at, what I'm really good at, what Phil's good at. So we said, okay, let's go to a chalet, a cabin up north, because we used to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we used to do that. We still do religiously.
Now it's like a work tradition, like you go every year?
Every year. And there's a mid-year and there's a beginning of the year.
Do you bring all the staff or just the four?
Just the four of us.
Okay.
And we bring the whiteboards and the computers, and we basically plan out the year in advance.
Yeah.
What our sales are going to be, what the POs are going to be, who's the staff that we need, everything. From production to customer service to everything. The whole business, technology, everything. So we have pillars, you know, and we go through them, and then we say, okay, how we're going to do this, and then we write that down, and then what are the roles and responsibilities per person to get the job done. And every week we work twice a week at night to revisit our goals every week and go over anything that we can go over throughout the day.
Yeah.
Right. We work on the business instead of in the business at night, and then every month we revisit the roles and responsibilities. We look at our financials, like report cards. We see where we went well, where we could improve, what's lacking, what's really good. And then every 6 months we go back to revisit our beginning of the year, what we've done so far, what needs to get done, and what's changed. So the one thing about business is not a straight line.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've all seen that meme where it's like...
Yeah.
So it's not a straight line, and you'll constantly need to be on top of it. But I'm going to say in ending how it all came about is we went up north in the cabin. We stayed 3 days in that cabin. And we just wrote down maybe 150 ideas as to what we wanted to do. We did some research on direct-to-consumer businesses, Dollar Shave Club, Cuts at the time, which they're still growing, MeUndies, Saks, are all our competitors. But not at the time, we didn't even know what to do underwear. We were just looking at all these different companies, right? And seeing what they're doing well, and is that something that resonates with us? Because we knew that in order for us to succeed, we need to be ourselves.
Right.
And now with this whole culture wars and all that stuff, it's like, I don't know if, and what I mean by that is like that wokeism and all that stuff, right? So we don't know if we want it to be like, that we weren't down for that, right? So,
right.
So plain and simple. And we wrote a bunch of ideas, and I remember it was hot, and I remember at the time we were smoking cigarettes. And we went outside, and me and Phil were just there, and he was like, fuck, it's hot. And then he was like, I'm like, I saw his underwear because he had them low and he had no t-shirt on. And I'm like, are those Gildans or whatever? And
yeah.
He's like, yeah. He's like, bro, I see all the sweat or whatever, you know? And he's like, yeah. He's like, whatever, what do you want to do? And then I'm not really happy with my underwear, and Rob's saying I bought the same fucking underwear since I was a kid, and Bert was like, I'll take whatever my wife gives me.
Yeah, whatever they have at Winners that
whatever
day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but we all hate our underwear. Yeah. He's like, yeah, so what about underwear? And that's how the idea was born. And then we just went like super dialed in the whole rest of the weekend about underwear and what are the best ones and what are the fabrics, and we started to learn. And then we got back home, and then that just continued through COVID. So we just continued researching different fabrics, different brands, different underwear. And we bought a bunch of underwear, and we tried all the underwear under the sun. And then boom, we fall on Modal. And we're like, what is this? I put it on, I'll never forget it. I'm like, we all like, this is crazy. What is it?
So what is it exactly? Tell, I mean, without getting into like the too crazy of the science, but what is it and how did you find it?
So I found it by I'm not going to name drop the competitor, but they were selling it at like $40-50. And when I realized when I put it on that it felt so amazing, I'm like, fuck, $50. You know, you got to be a baller to buy $50 underwear.
Yeah.
But then you realize that good underwear in the realm of like 20 to 35 is what you pay. So we're like, how can we get this $50 pair of underwear down to 24-ish? That's what we charge now, but like 20, 25, 26, 27. How can we get it lower? And obviously being really focused on just black was how we did it, and not having a bunch of variety of designs and prints and getting too caught up on being fashionistas and more about being functional people,
right?
In comfort and quality.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. But Modal, basically, to answer your question, is a fabric that is derived by the beech tree. Okay. So it's derived by the beech tree, and it has a 4-way stretch, which means you can stretch it diagonally like this,
Like if you had a piece.
Yeah, you can go like this.
Okay.
And you can go like this. So
Okay.
it basically sticks to your body, and the way you move
And
throughout the
other
day.
fabrics don't do that?
No, they just go one like either like this or like this.
that.
And sometimes they stretch, but they don't come back.
They don't come back. All right, for
AKA
sure.
cotton.
Yeah.
Right? Which is traditionally known to be the best because it's breathable and it's natural and all that.
I mean, that's what, like I know polyester is not supposed to be worn all day, every day, but everyone here, you hear about cotton and you think that's, the best, right? Like most of my shirts.
Traditionally.
Yeah.
And it is. It's good for you.
But
it is good for you, but it's not the best for underwear.
Right.
And the reason for it is because you don't want your underwear as a man, unless you're into these things, to feel like a thong 2 hours into your day. Or right up your leg or be in your crotch. And I don't mean by right up like a slight little 1 inch up and down.
No, I know.
Right up like it's landing literally at your crotch.
Those boxers that basically feel like loose shorts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You take them off, they're not boxer briefs anymore, they're boxer shorts.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the problem with cotton traditionally. And then you have polyester, which got introduced to the actual industry because it's cheap to make. And it's derived by plastic. And it lasts 7 years, and that's what men like. I buy a pair of underwear fucking $5, $6, and it lasts me 7 years. Pfft, why the hell should I buy yours?
Yeah.
Well, you realize that it's derived by plastic, and that's why you got the duck butter, and it sweats, and it's not really good for you, and it's not it's really bad for you. And a lot of athletic wear or brands that specialize in sportswear use it because traditionally it's the cheapest, and traditionally it stays put all day.
Okay, which is what they want.
It won't move.
Yeah, like I have some sports underwear that's like
it stays on you and it ain't moving.
I never wear it anymore. Like, not because we're having this conversation. I have literally never, after trying on yours at lunch, basically, I've never put on another pair. Gym, fucking snow, summer, whatever. I don't know. You can check my orders. I have 30 pairs.
So I know you've been a supporter since day one.
I mean, it's actually like really, really good. Like I can't explain it, but it's probably because of the material you're talking about.
It is primarily, and then there are other brands we tried on, and they don't have like a special design. And we're like, you know what? Women have bras that hold up their breasts. We got balls. Yeah. And like you don't want them hanging down too hard. And we're in our 30s, so maybe we don't experience that. But there's men 40, 50, 60, 70. Yeah. That I speak to every day by email or by call that basically tell me, thank you. This is crazy. This is amazing. Yeah. I golfed 18 holes. I walked the course. Forgot I was wearing underwear. And that's the beauty of Modal. So it's derived by the beech tree. It's just as breathable as cotton. It's moisture wicking. It's like a second skin, so it has the 4-way stretch, and it just breathes really well. So once you start doing the research, you realize that the best fabric, and a lot of experts will say for men's underwear, is Modal. And getting it to a price point where we got it is, I think, the secret. And then being able to be focused on just the function, comfort, and quality rather than get caught up with the prints and the colors and that stuff.
That's how you got your price to somewhere that's
less housing, less warehousing to invest in, less employees. I can pack 500 orders with one guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the Instagram videos.
Okay, so it's like literally in one section instead of having to go down a warehouse. Oh yeah, hold on, this is the one with the banana print on it. Which one is it again? You're wasting 10 minutes for one pair.
Yeah, I guess you don't think about that. Like I've had conversations. I was talking to Carla the other day, and she was saying, "Oh, like how come they don't do like this color or that color? How come they don't make women's underwear?" I'm like, first of all, it's called Manmade, and obviously they're but it makes sense if you had all these different SKUs. Like, there's no way you can charge what you charge, right?
Exactly.
Your overhead would just be crazy. So I think it's smart. I think now you guys are getting into blue.
Yes.
That's like groundbreaking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It really is. And we had to have a very big discussion around the table about, do we do a second color? Do we do a second
How did you land on that color?
We surveyed.
I feel like a lot of people, really?
Our customers, all of them.
Really?
Yeah. And we gave them options, and blue came up on top. Second is a lighter color, so either a light gray, heather gray, or like a white.
White? Really?
We don't.
I feel
we're trying to not go down the white as much as possible because of the when we started, we would talk a lot about skid marks.
Yeah, that's the main concern.
The main concern. Yeah, but there's a lot of men that want lighter colors, and white is the big one. And not that we would do it, but at the end of the day, we are building a brand for men.
Right. If that's what they want. I mean,
But
Someday
it's
maybe.
probably going to be closer to the lighter gray.
Light gray.
Because when they wear light pants, especially in the summer when you golf, they don't like to see the black underwear under them.
Fair.
So that's what they're saying. And if we would do a third color, it would probably end there. And then we'd focus on briefs, which is like the shorter ones.
Yeah. Are you there?
So we just hired an apparel designer, 17 years at Gildan. She's really, really good. Her name is Jen.
Okay.
We're really lucky to find her. And now she's basically perfecting our current lines and just making everything much more smoother. And
Why briefs? Is there, look, I wore briefs as a kid, and I know that maybe the older generation likes them, or is there still a huge market for people wearing
just briefs?
Just briefs?
Yeah, big time. Briefs is number 2, and if not, making a comeback for not number 1, but soon.
And is there like, what are the stats there? Is there like a specific demographic that prefers them? Like
so
age?
I want to say it's like 70% of men wear boxer briefs, and then everything else is cut between like the extra 30% between, let's say, briefs and trunks, and then obviously there's the thongs and all the other stuff, which it's not our brand.
Not gonna, okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty high. I think it's like half of that, like 15%.
Okay.
But our age demo, when we started, and slowly it's starting to get younger, was like our average age was 50, 45, 50. And a lot of the 50, 60, 70, 80s, it's the briefs. And because they just want it to be held, they want their package to be held nice and nice and good.
And it's what they're used to. I mean, like, back when they were our age, briefs ruled the market, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if you have bigger thighs like myself, you chafe. So that's when that's when both thighs, they rub against when you're walking or running. And that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Right? A brief won't help that. And when we came out with the brief, it was, yes, we wore briefs, but we also surveyed. And we didn't have customers, but we surveyed a pool of, I think, 5,000 men across, 5 or 10,000 men across Canada and the US on SurveyMonkey. We pulled it, we got the information.
How did you get access to these people?
It's been 3 years.
Okay, this was an initial, like at the beginning.
Yeah,
when
we were conceptualized,
decide,
right. What's our staple product, which is going to be the underwear. But is boxer brief what men are wearing? Most of our friends, our generation. But how about men in general? So we wanted to get that data and the color to make sure black was the way to go.
Right.
But I also remember when we started, we did a ghost company, Larry's Basics.
Okay.
And we just were testing CPAs and all that stuff, cost per clicks, cost per impressions and all that on Facebook. And we came up with just basically, enter your phone number if you're interested in trying a free pair of boxer briefs, a new brand we're coming out with, Modal, blah, blah, blah. We got like 100 numbers, like within 2 days. And I remember calling every single one of those guys, every single one, and asking them questions like, what is your boxer brief of choice? What's the brand? What's your price point? Do you know anything about fabrics? Why do you shop at this brand?
How many guys knew things about fabric?
Many guys,
if you called me for any of those questions, I'd be like, most of my boxes are black. Well, now I can answer, but before I'd be like, most of them are black. I have no idea what they cost. Call my wife.
Yeah. A lot of them are like that, and a lot of them, they just bought or dealt with whatever they were raised, and they went with cotton because traditionally my dad, would say wear cotton.
Yeah, cotton's the best.
Cotton's the best, and then you realize there's other fabrics, and Lululemon did a really good job. They are at a point where they're actually like chemists, like they're making up their own fabrics, which is one day hopefully something we can do. Like a little bit of it, like a little bit of lycra, a little bit of modal, a little bit of Pima, a little bit of polyester. Like polyester is not the devil, but on your balls it is.
Yeah, you don't want it to be 99% polyester. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the thing. But it's cheap, and that's why people do it.
That's a whole other conversation. You hit a lot of these points, so that's great. How'd you choose your business? We talked about it. How'd you choose your partners? I mean, they're your best friends. I wanted to talk about daily routines. Like, do you have daily routines?
Yeah.
You personally, and even like with the guys and work and stuff, like what are your daily routines before, let's say, going to the office? Do you have at the office after? And how does that all like tie into your, like I follow you on Instagram, so I see like you're always at the gym, basically, or at least, right? Is that part of your routine, and how does that contribute to kind of your overall?
Yeah. So I think I suffer from anxiety It's not crippling, but it sucks some days,
Sure.
especially when anticipating anything coming, coming in the short term.
Yeah.
So I deal with that by eating right, or trying my best to eat right,
Yeah.
and the gym. So I do like going to the gym. So 3 or 4 times a week, I like to get to the gym, trying to get that to 5 or 6, but it's a little tough.
Yeah.
Less about how I look, more about how I feel.
Yeah.
Because I've been training on and off for like years, right? I was always in soccer, then I was 270 pounds. I went down to 190.
You posted a picture recently.
Yeah.
I think when I met you, you were past that.
Oh, skinny or fat?
You weren't 270.
Okay.
When were you 270? Do you remember?
21, 22, 23.
Years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what, 9 years ago or 10 years ago?
I'm 34, so like 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay, no, I met you.
Yeah.
I think I met you like 7 years ago. So
7
you
years
think
ago.
you were past
Yeah,
that?
I was past
Because
that.
I think you had started. I mean, it looked like you were working out at that point.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was harder.
So was it that you, when you were younger, you were into sports, and then you gained the weight?
Yeah,
and
like
then you, like everyone
most
else.
guys, they like
But
to
man,
go.
you
You
got-
drink, you go out, you party, 3 a.m.
But it's good that you turn that switch like in your early 20s. Like
Yeah.
I figured that out like a year ago.
Yeah.
At 33, I'm like, oh, shit. You know?
But I come from a family where like my dad was never like, don't eat this or don't eat that, but he was my coach. He's a very good soccer player, and he
Yeah.
coached my brother and myself. And like when I was trying to make like it was Concordia at the time, AAA soccer, even come back select, he would be like, you need to drop 10 pounds, don't eat that piece of bread.
Yeah.
At 16, 17. So like you
That's
always
nice. Having that from a parent is huge.
Yeah. And the people say it's fat shaming or that stuff, but it's like at the
No,
end of the
fuck
day,
that.
it's not that.
What's the alternative? Fat
Eat
promoting?
it. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not down for that at all. So that's another bag of worms. Like, you can get me started with that. But being a guy who was heavy, very heavy, and it just didn't feel healthy. And I remember having pains on my right side here, and it was because I had a fatty liver. And I went at 21 years old, and I forget it, did my blood test. I was a big boy. I walked into the doctor's office, and he tells me, buddy, if you continue like this, at 30, you're having a heart attack.
Fatty liver. At
Fatty liver.
22, 23?
60, 70 pounds overweight, going out Thursday to Sunday, like...
Fatty liver from drinking or just overall from everything?
Drinking and rich foods, fatty foods.
Sure.
Eating out, it's not good, you know?
And they saw that from your blood?
Yeah. Enzyme levels were shot to the roof. My pains were like pretty consistent. I feel like contraction.
Yeah.
And then I went to do an ultrasound. And then with the ultrasound, they found out.
They could see it. Yeah.
So then I said, okay, it's enough. I'm going to turn my life around. Got a private trainer, went to eating, really took it seriously. Dialed in like no tomorrow. I want to shout out my mom. She was my private chef at the time. This literally lived in Tupperwares.
Yeah.
And she helped me. I shred off that weight in like 4 months, 6 months. I trained like a savage. I really went full. Like I'm like that. When I dial into something, I need to get it. So I did that. But then not the hardest part is not losing weight. You know. The hardest part is keeping it off.
Yeah.
So then I gained a little bit more weight, like 20 pounds-ish, 30 pounds-ish. And then I said, okay, time to like step it up, because I was training 2-3 times a week, but that's just enough to maintain. And I wasn't eating really well. I was eating like starting a business. You're eating whatever's whatever's in front of you. We're 4 guys. Sometimes we'll be like, okay, who wants a burger? Let's eat the burger. Exactly. So we did that. And then I said to myself 2 years ago, I said, we need to train consistently. We need to have a routine. I need to go to bed early. And that really changed my life.
What time do you go to bed?
I'm in bed at 8:30, 9 max.
Every day. And you're up?
Every day, 5:30. 5:30, 5:30. Every day.
That's huge. I mean, people think, I think sleep now is starting to get the attention that it deserves. Up until now, like sleep was like, oh, like
you're weak if you sleep.
Yeah, you don't need to sleep. And turns out that all the science is saying that's all fucking bullshit, and you actually need to sleep.
Yeah.
Like there was somebody that said, like, if evolution hasn't got rid of that yet, it's probably because we really need it. And I started going to bed. I felt my best, I think, when I was going to bed at 9. Now I go to bed at 10. Obviously with like kids, it's a bit harder to, I mean, my wife has it worse, to be fair, but 9 felt the best. Went to bed at 9, woke up at 4 or 5.
You're good
to go,
right? You get that you get that sleep before 12, which apparently is where the magic
there's something
happens.
about if you like even if you get your 8 hours, but if you get them later in the night, there's something there about growth hormone that you don't get or whatever. But yeah, so I hear you.
I take a magnesium also before bed, which has helped.
Yeah.
Just break down the carbohydrates, make my gut feel better.
Did you do a bunch of research? Like, how did you know to do that?
Well, yeah. research was one, but I have friends that are in the business of like fitness and the nutritionist, dietitian, all that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
And like I don't get too caught up on that either.
Yeah, that's like a Pandora's box. Like I spent 6-7 months. Like I bought a nutrition course. I bought like the best personal trainer. Like I went all in to like learn this shit, not because I want to be a nutritionist or a personal trainer, but because I got sucked into like we've been like eating like shit for 30 years and the food industry is killing us. And that was in my head for so long. Like I can't eat anything because I don't know what's in it. So yeah, now I've kind of toned it down a bit, but
no, I think I forget where I saw this, but I think they say like you can it's better. So if you're like super health freak, like you don't eat certain things and you make sure like you're very strict about your diet and all that, and you don't work out, it's worse than you're a little bit more lenient with that, but you work out. Right?
So you get a bit of both?
Yeah, a bit of both is perfect. Ideally perfect. But I realized in life, business, nobody's perfect.
Sure.
Nobody.
For sure.
And if you are perfect in this, there's something off.
Yeah.
Right? About you somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you need to build a routine. I'm a routine junkie. If I'm off my routine, I'm off my rocker.
Yeah.
Which is good, but I need to start getting up randomly at 2:00 in the morning and starting my day. Like I need to shock my body sometimes and be like, it's good to be in a routine, but you can't get stuck in that routine because then after that you don't grow.
Yeah.
So I get up at 5:30, try to go to bed early. I go to the gym, I pray. So that's something that I always used to be like, religion, but some things happened in my life in the last 3 years that my faith has 10x'd.
Okay.
So I do that. It's just a form of meditation.
Yeah.
And then we get in the morning. Everybody needs to be there for 8:45, 9. Whole team. We go around our island, which we have in our office, and everybody says what they're doing for the day. So you have a minute to talk about your to-do lists. And then if ever there's anything that needs to be like talked about outside of that minute with another colleague or whatever, you do that offline, we call it. So once the meeting's done, everybody goes to work and then they communicate with each other to get the job that they need to get done that day. What that does is it creates a team.
Yeah.
And if there's ever anything that's an outlier or whatever, it could be discussed so that everybody knows what everyone's doing. Like a soccer team or a hockey team or any sports team, if you're working in a team or you're playing in a team, you need to know what your team member is doing and if or no, right? And if there's anything that needs to be addressed, you have a stage to address it.
Yeah.
And then every day we try our best to have lunch together. So
the whole team.
So we get lunch catered. We started that about a year ago. It's part of one of our benefits at the office.
Yeah.
We feel like we all, we're a small team. We're 10 people. So we sit down and we all try to eat at the same time. And then we call what we do as a mental health walk. So after eating, everybody's done eating 20 minutes, half an hour. And we take 15, 20 minutes to go for a walk outside.
Whole team.
We try.
Yeah.
It's starting now because we're 10. Some people don't want to walk. Some people just rather do other things, which is cool.
Yeah.
But we try. Yeah. We've been doing it forever, the mental health walk. So we still continue doing that. And then, at the end of the day, on my way home, I live in the South Shore. So the drive is maybe these days 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So I dial into a podcast. Big fan of Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And also like direct to consumer. DTC
like
type
specific things
for our business. Moise Ali has one. It's really good. There's a couple of guys.
Yeah.
So, and I like to do that. And then I get home, have supper with my wife. Always need to have that. Sit down, not in front of a TV. Have a conversation.
Yeah.
Go for a walk with her if it's nice out.
Yeah.
Watch maybe half an hour of TV, unwind, go upstairs, and go to bed.
Sounds like a good one.
That's the routine.
I mean,
nothing special. I think most people.
But I mean, I think it shows like, and obviously, each of those individually, they just look like, okay, you do that. But when you put them together, there's no doubt that all of that contributes to how you feel during the day, right? How you perform at work, right? So that's so I think there's something to be said about routine.
Definitely. Definitely.
Here's a question you probably get every time you speak to somebody. Where do you see the business in 5 years and even 10 years?
That's a good one. So, like I said, we work out the year in advance. We do monthly reviews. We stay on top of our thing. But we want to grow the business. We want to grow the business quick, but cautious. And with the online businesses, so we want to make sure that we dominate direct to consumer first instead of going into wholesale.
Okay. So you've spoken about wholesale?
Yeah, we've had conversations about that.
Been approached, I guess, probably.
Yeah, we have Renfrew, who else? Costco, Walmart.
Those are not small names.
The big ones.
So you want to dominate here first?
So you said you have students that want to become entrepreneurs and all
Tons.
that. Okay. If there's one thing I learned and we live by,
yeah,
you need to be fucking focused. So you need to be focused, dialed in like this, you know. So when you want to do too much, you end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you focus on one thing and you do it really, 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 really well, you stand out.
Yeah.
That's the philosophy. There's money on the table everywhere you turn.
Sure.
Everywhere. There's money in podcasting. There's money in this guy's doing construction outside. There's money everywhere. It's up to you. Where do you want to put your energy and time in order for you to grow your business, right? And money is not the be all end all. Money is how we keep score.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said earlier, every month we look at our financials, our P&Ls, cash flow, balance sheet, but the P&L is really where it's at. And when you look at it, that's the report card. How did you do last month? What did you say you were going to do? What did you do to get there? Did it work? Did it not work? How much did it cost? And you can really look at your business and say, okay, we're in the right direction. Should we be doing something different? And that's something that we're really good at. And if you add wholesale into the equation, now you have all the reps you got to deal with. You got to deal with the stores. You got to deal with the facings. You got to deal with the negotiations. You got to deal with the returns. You got to deal with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, we're 4. And yes, we maybe one day we'll get into it. But we made a decision really early on that our business will be solely built online. And not because we're a new generation. It's because there's an opportunity online.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, big one. And if you look, and I find wholesale is like a traditional thing where it's like you're going with the herd. You're going with the rest of the people.
I mean, to be completely honest, like I think fewer and fewer people are buying. I mean, maybe you know the stats, but like I think fewer and fewer people are buying things from these bigger stores. And like for example, now if I want something, I'm looking to go buy directly from the manufacturer. Like I'm going on your website and I'm not going to Costco and saying, do you sell Manmade? I'm going to Manmade directly. So I don't know if that's a trend or if that's because I'm new generation, but
I was going to say you're new gen, but 80% of sales are still done in retail.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's not small.
Yeah, but the 20% that's being done online,
you want to dominate that.
Yeah, and it's a big number.
I'm sure.
So online,
it's 20% of billions. So
right. So it's you just need a piece of that pie.
Yeah.
And you need to make a name for it. And you need to be true of who you are. If you fake too much, like if you fake your whole brand, you're gonna get tired of it because it's like you get tired of faking.
For sure.
What's cool about what we're doing is we're being ourselves and not to split ourselves too thin is what we decided to do early on. And that's why the wholesale thing we just put on the back burner for the time being. We get calls all the time. But we're really focusing on building a brand because being direct to consumer allows you to do things that being in a store doesn't. Example, writing a card with every single order, giving them a call to say thank you, surprising customers when it's their birthday, and knowing because we're on social media together that he's a Habs fan and sending him some Habs tickets.
Yeah.
A good customer. Doing little things where you stand out like that is harder to do in wholesale.
I want to talk about that. I've been following your business from like the first time you posted that something is coming, like a year before your launch, right? And your business basically, like if you have been following it from the beginning, I can pretty much summarize every step you took. Like, you guys were really open about your entire business, like who you're hiring, how you're picking your bankers and all that stuff. So why? Like, a lot of businesses like keep everything kind of like, here's our product. Is that part of like your philosophy? Is that part of the brand? Like, you've basically explained every step you took and why you did it publicly on social media.
We're competing versus Goliaths.
Yeah, I had a question on that.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Right? Goliaths, like deep pockets.
Sure.
And the game, in order for you to get new customers, is marketing.
Yeah.
But you could be deceiving, or you can be an open book, or genuine. Like, when I told you earlier that we did a year of conceptualization because we were waiting for the product to be done, and it took a year to produce the boxer brief.
Yeah.
The day we launched, within that year, we didn't just produce a boxer brief. What is Manmade? Who is Manmade? What are the visible, the invisible elements? What are things that are going to differentiate ourselves? It's pretty cool when four best friends get together and they start a business, which is underwear. So the story is there. So why not tell the story?
Yeah.
Why not be David versus the Goliath and be that company that you root for? You're the underdog.
Yeah.
Right. And then you back it up with a good product.
I think that's where it is. Like, I see, there's tons of great looking companies, but if you can deliver like you have, I mean, I think that obviously contributes to people not just buying once, but buying over and over again.
Our mission is to take on the big corporations by building a brand men need and deserve. Plain and simple. When we're doing our research, you go on a site, all this confusion, all these different fabrics, all these fancy words, all this stuff, all this different choice. Personally, I get discouraged.
Yeah.
Babe, can you take care of this for me, please? Can you go just figure out what I like, please? Too much, too overload. So how we plan on doing that, how we plan on taking on the big corporations and building a brand men need and deserve, is by providing men with the quality essentials they need without the BS, the bullshit they don't need.
Do you ever get any feedback on like the language you guys choose to use?
Yeah, but not like less than 1%.
Okay.
And we're not.
It's not like you guys are vulgar, but you're using
bullshit, BS, right?
BS, or you're
but like, but it's
that's what it is.
It's what it is, right? So back to your question, when we decided to showcase as much as possible, is because when your only tool is social media, how do you build a connection? Like, I know how to build a connection with you if I'm next to you. If you feel my body language, you feel I can shake your hand, I can look you in the eye, I can have a conversation with you, and you feel a spirit and a vibe. Within your sharing. Yeah. Now, nobody knows me. Like, we have 0 customers. Like, how are you gonna gain somebody's attention? How are you gonna get their attention? And by getting their attention, we chose to be relatable. I believe there's a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs and that want to start a business and just don't know how to start, or they haven't started yet, right? Yeah. So looking through our lens will make them curious, and then when that curiosity ends up being where you start to buy our product and you start to really see what we're about, then you become a fan. Yeah. And now when you're a fan, well, then we build a relationship. And from day one, like I said, we stay direct to consumer because we want to build a relationship with every single one of our customers. Everything we come out with, email, text message, campaign, anything. I call you, our staff calls you. It's because it was thought out. We want to do this. The cards, dude, like we have 60,000 customers, 80,000 transactions so far, transactions. There was a handwritten card with every single one of those. And it's not the same card. It's like the first time you order, it's one card. The second time you order, it's another card. The third time you order.
I remember.
So scaling the unscalable. You know how many times people told us, this is not going to last. Where are you going? That you're going to do these cards every single time you do it? Well, it's 80,000 cards. And we posted lately on Facebook. We asked people because we're like, this is getting crazy. And the amount of comments and feedback we got, like, don't stop. People have our cards from 2 years ago and they keep them. When we saw that, my wrist got a second wind. You know, like it's time. Like you just have to be able to know how to scale that properly and stay genuine and consistent. And yeah, so back to your thing, being super open is something that we always wanted to do because we have real fans and we want to build a real community.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it.
Yeah. So I have a question from a student that's kind of in line with what you're just saying. So a student says, I have a business idea, but I'm scared to go after it because other than my idea, I pretty much have no idea what to do or how to turn it into a business. Any advice?
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are probably in that, young people especially, but everyone. Like, I mean, if you asked me to start a brand new business today, I'd probably have a few questions, right?
To this kid, or not a kid, an adult?
Yeah.
Just start.
Yeah.
You know, like when we started Manmade, like I told you earlier at the beginning of the podcast, it wasn't like bank Manmade.
Right.
There was finance involved. There was like a year of figuring things out, of learning, of seeing. By doing, you learn. So if this gentleman or lady,
I can't remember,
is a studious type, do your research.
Yeah.
Like literally, you just Google it, YouTube videos, TikTok, like just do whatever you're like. You know the tools.
Yeah.
Just embrace it all. Go out there, market research, but don't do too much analysis by paralysis. You get paralyzed after. Like, you see, do a SWOT analysis. You know.
Yeah. All the stuff they teach you in school.
Do them.
Yeah.
Do a business plan. Write it out. Know your mission statement. Know your why. You know, Simon Sinek says, know your why. We did that. Like, it took a year to produce the underwear, but it also took a year to conceptualize who Manmade is. Because once you're out there, you can't make these, you can't be then you have no identity. So back to the question, just do it. If you think that the idea is good and you did your research where you're confident enough to get started, do it. If you fail, you will grow.
Yeah.
And you will realize, is entrepreneurship for me or it's not? Because if you stop, it's not for you, but it's okay.
You learn that.
You learn that.
Yeah.
And if it is, not even the hard way, even if you lose, dude, even if you lose a couple of $1,000s, like I wouldn't be scrappy.
Yeah.
When we started Manmade, we started very scrappy. And that's why we do our own everything internal. But the point is be scrappy, but just do it. Like just start. And if you don't know, and if you think you need help because you're self-aware of the fact that maybe you can't do it alone, find a partner. The best thing I can tell you that I did is I have partners.
Yeah.
You know, it would be a different ballgame if I was alone on this. We wouldn't be where we are today, for sure. And life throws you curveballs. And as long as you make it your priority, for sure, but those curveballs slow you down.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a race, it's a marathon. But then again, it feels like a bit of a race because if Big Mo is created, which is momentum, you need to keep feeding it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop feeding it, it dies. And you got to restart it again. It's like weight loss.
Yeah,
very, there's very similar stuff there. And that's it. So I would say just start.
Just get it done.
Just start.
Start.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Do your little bit of research. Feel confident. Start.
Question for me, and you spoke a little bit about this at the beginning when you said you wouldn't go and finish your degree. Like if you thought about it objectively, like no, right? If you could go back and just not start uni at all and just start this business sooner.
Yeah. So it's very tough. We always talk about that. It's so funny you say that. I wouldn't be the same guy sooner.
You think
I grew with everything I've done. I believe that there's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
So on that aspect, I don't think it would have been possible sooner. But you're asking me if I would have like not went to school and just went into business?
Yeah, because I have tons of students who, besides looking to me for advice on how to solve a question on an exam, they ask me like, I'm studying accounting and I'm miserable, but I'm doing it because it's the thing to do. And
your parents are telling you.
That's the number one reason, just to please my parents. I get to please my parents more than because this is what I want to do. And some of them even tell me like, I want to start my own business, but I got to finish school first. So that's why I'm asking, like, you did marketing management, which is relevant obviously to what you're doing, but do you think you would have, if you could go back and start your business instead of having done that, would you be better off?
I know the answer I want to go down. Okay, but I know I'm speaking to like these young like Gen Zs. But I want to answer you because God willing, I'll have kids of my own, and I want to answer this where it's like I don't shoot myself in the foot, because I really genuinely believe that school is a tool where I learned a lot about doing things in a timely manner, getting assignments done, learning certain philosophies and theories and blah blah blah, which none of them really I really remember clearly unless it's the ones I really cared about, which everyone's the same way. But it helped my brain develop, I guess. But at 17, when did you start university? 17, 18, 19?
Ish.
Am I the same guy? Me, personally, I wasn't. So was I ready to start a business? Personally, I wasn't. So let's put that there. But now if there's someone that is genuinely, like that's listening to this and says, school is literally not for me and there's no way that I'll get anything out of it because I really genuinely don't want to be there, but I want to start a business, go.
Yeah.
Like if the person has that in them, it's like a burning sensation, and it's like this, I know I am destined. No matter how many times I fail, I will always be an entrepreneur. I will always be. And it's hard to 16, 17-year-old to freaking know that.
Yeah.
But if you know that, because a lot of kids know that,
yeah,
do it.
Yeah.
But if not, school is not the devil. Okay, traditional school, yes, that has its flaws. But then again, I have learned things in school, and I have met people like yourself in school that if I didn't go to school, I wouldn't have met. So don't just treat school for the theory that you learn and the exam that you have to pass. Go there, network, meet people. Those people one day will become people that will, maybe you help them or they help you.
Yeah.
Like treat it like a business that it is.
Yeah.
1, 2, supply and demand. Our parents, when they didn't go to school, they became bricklayers and construction workers and this and that and all tradesmen.
Right.
And the people that went to school made the money and had the careers and had the better life. Well, guess what? Everybody goes to school now. Now you get out of school, you're a brain, but you're starting at $40,000 a year and they're working you 120 hours a week.
Yeah.
The guy who's doing bricklaying and the guy who's doing any construction job or any blue collar job, he's making $100,000 a year and he's probably happy.
Yeah.
So supply and demand. There's too many people in school right now. So if you do know that you're not a school guy, if the only reason is to make your parents happy, don't make your parents happy. Like, you have to be happy, but you have to have a conversation with your parents.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna have some tough conversations with people. Yeah. So if you can have them with your own parents.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my conversation with my mom. I remember calling my mom and telling her, like, I don't want to be an accountant anymore. And it was like,
yeah, she cried.
What? Yeah. She's like, and I'm like, yeah. Like, I really want to pursue this like tutoring thing. And she's like, are you crazy? And then, but she was super, super supportive. Like, she was like, okay, like, just be sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But look at you.
But it was a hard conversation. Like, so you're absolutely right. Like, students need to have that conversation with their parents.
But that's if you really want to become an entrepreneur, because some people think, so this is the other thing, okay? Entrepreneurship has become this thing where it's like you become an NBA player.
Yeah.
It's like you're so cool.
Yeah,
you own your own business. You think about you're going to wear your own Rollie, your Rolex, you have your nice car. I set the time. I could snooze the button. I don't have a boss breaking my balls. If that's where your head's at, stay in school.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot to learn. But if you're the type of person where I have to be at school at 8, but I'm already up at 5 because I'm already working on a business because I'm so passionate about this thing, drop the school.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, right? So like, that's why I answer that question very carefully, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I hate school, but I'm going to become my own business because they think they're going to make the big dollars right away, or like it's all about the material stuff and less about the fulfillment.
Yeah.
If being a business owner and being an entrepreneur fulfills you, do it. And if anybody's listening to this and wants to learn a bit more, I'm not trying to say it. We as in like my partners and I, Gary V, right? Gary Vaynerchuk is someone that preaches that stuff every day. You know, he's gonna come out with his own Disney one day with these little, and my God willing future children are going to. That's something I want to turn them into. I want to turn them towards, less towards Disney. I'm not gonna get into that, but there's reasons for it. I don't know if you've turned on the Disney Channel lately.
Nope.
Okay. You turn that thing on and you start watching the what teenagers watch, like those soap operas or whatever you call them. Wow.
Our household, we have 6 TVs. They're never on.
Well, that's a good thing.
I mean, at night, my wife and I will watch, Carla and I will watch, but yeah, we're anti-TV.
For sure, but then the kids, they turn 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and their friends are watching a show and they want to watch a show. Anyway, that's another conversation. So less about that and more about that, because he teaches like the fundamentals, buddy. Like, you know, like you're a smart dude. You're really smart. You didn't finish school, right? You didn't finish university.
Officially, no.
Officially.
Yeah.
But you're teaching the classes probably better than the professors.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that what he preaches is a lot of the basic stuff, the 12 principles, be kind. I'm not going to go into them, but just simple things. Be respectful, be kind, be patient. Like things that you'd learn in regular life.
Yeah.
Religion teaches that, right? I don't want to get into religion, but the point is like simple stuff.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
You don't overthink it. It's not as big and scary as you make it up, as you make it to be in your head.
Yeah.
So I back the whole question about school. And there's a lot of people that are brains, dude. Like if you have the brains to become a doctor and that's what you want to do it. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's some things school is not optional. Like if you want to be a doctor, engineer, all these things, yeah, school 100%. You got no choice.
But a guy like me, I learned a lot on my own, right? Asking questions, working with people like yourself, YouTube, Google, ChatGPT.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. But the thing is that, you know, just to touch upon that, I was having a conversation with like not elderly, 70s,
okay,
whatever. I hate this AI thing. It's such BS, blah, blah, blah. What's going to happen to the jobs of these people? I'm like, when the computer came out, what happened? Well, now you got to learn how to use the computer.
Yeah.
Now AI, you need still people to. So it's too crazy for people. So that's why I guess they're going slow. But that technology is coming fast. And if you're a smart young individual that knows how to use that technology to get ahead, and not just by writing essays, I mean like using it in your day-to-day life, and I integrate it in mine, you'll excel because you're using tools that are out there.
Yeah, I think AI is just gonna, like, if you could draw human progression on a chart and how we've kind of gone exponential once we hit like the industrial revolution, I think AI is gonna just make us go vertical,
even further.
Like I use it, like I recently wrote a new course pack. Remember the course packs? I wrote an entire course pack on a subject that is brand new to me in like a day. Yeah. Leveraging AI, obviously,
for sure.
You know,
which sometimes could take you 2 weeks.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like I used to open the textbook like you guys, buy the textbook, and read cover to cover, so that then I could write a summary to give to you. Well, now I have the AI that goes in and reads it for me first, cuts out all the bullshit because a textbook is like 80% bullshit, gives me the refined one, and then I will then summarize that for the student.
Beautiful, no?
You know, it's the best thing that ever happened.
100%.
You know, and I think that's gonna definitely catapult us. Like,
how much more can you scale your business?
I mean, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Like, so expanding to new schools is part of that.
So that's the deal. Like, you need to use these tools in order for you to expand your business.
For sure, I love AI. I'm a huge fan. It scares me though.
Yeah, me too. Elon says that you have to slow it down because it's gonna eventually, right? Didn't he say, he tweeted about that? He said he wants a little break, a sabbatical for 6 months off it, but the developing of the next. I can't really quote it, but he was saying something along those lines because eventually you're gonna make these machines smarter than humans or something.
I mean, I feel like they are. Yeah. I mean, I feel like ChatGPT is smarter than like 90% of humans.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Very specific question from a student now. I guess they maybe have an idea and they're having trouble getting funding. How did you get funding to start your business? Did you get funding? Was that a challenge? And like, what are you doing now? Is that?
Yeah. So we were 4 partners. So the cake is split in 4.
Yeah, that helps obviously.
Yeah. So when we started, we initially just started with 20,000 each, which we didn't even use the whole 80. So, okay, let's backtrack. There's 2 ways, I believe, to start a business, especially the ones I have. You can either build a business where you get funded, you give out equity, you're top line focused, which means just revenue. You don't care about profit, just top line, just build sales. Sales will solve all problems. And then you get different investors that come in and they invest in your business. And eventually either you make it and you exit, which is probably the goal for this type of
for a top line business,
for this type of business, or you give up enough equity where you don't hit all your objectives that you sell the VCs on, and then they're just they just care about, like, I gave you money, you promised me a return, it's not there, so now we need to dilute or sell or figure something out because I can't lose money on this. Right. So that's one way. And the other way is traditionally you build a business to be profitable from day one.
Right.
So if the question is more about, like, we chose B, right? We chose to be profitable the whole way through and like be really like conscious about that. But if you're asking how we got the money to start, well, we saved and we put in a bit of money.
I guess the question was like, it was probably like, you self-funded initially.
Self-funded.
And then at some point, like any business, I'm assuming you had to
banks, finance. Yeah. So instead of going the debt equity, so instead of giving up equity in order for an exchange of capital, we decided to exhaust all of our options on a debt basis, like financing. Yeah. So
which in the long run is probably ideal for, I mean, you don't want to be giving up too much of your company early on.
No.
All right.
Well, the evaluation definitely changes.
For sure.
And it's changed, like it changes a month over month at this stage. But BDC is amazing, PME Montreal, and then we proved ourselves within a year and a half of being in business, where we got a very large bank in Canada. I don't feel like dropping it. Yeah, one of the top three, who trusted us and gave us a working line of credit, of which we will use only if needed to buy inventory. And so you just want to mention something to buy inventory. Yeah. If you need money for marketing, if you need money, and this is just my personal opinion, if you're going to use that money to use it for marketing or equipment or like anything of that nature, and what I mean by equipment, like computers and stuff of that nature, be careful. Be careful, because that's not tangible. Yeah. Okay, so if it's not tangible, it's a riskier than putting it into actual, like... Yeah, if you're buying inventory, you're going to sell that inventory and then pay the money back, right? So, and when we proved it to the bank, because don't forget, we're not in wholesale. Yeah. So a bank, if you're a direct-to-consumer business, a traditional bank, says, who are you selling these to? Yeah. And then usually you come, I have POs from Costco, I have POs from Walmart. They want to see that. Yeah. Then they're like, okay, because of your POs that your sales guys have already had, if I give you the money, you buy the product, you give it to them, as long as there's no F-ups, fuck-ups in between, you should be fine. Yeah. Less risk. Okay. Now you have four... Yours was more challenging, I guess. Dude, you have four dudes that come there. You know, hey, we're going to sell this much based on future projections, based on the marketing we will do using Meta, aka Facebook, primarily as the core. Facebook owns Instagram, and then we did a bit of TikTok and all that stuff. But the point is, most of our marketing spend is on Facebook. Yeah. The banks look at you like you're crazy. So you had to prove that first? So we proved it, and then we showed the 2022 year, for example, of how we said what we were going to say, and it happened and some. Mm-hmm. And now we were able to convince somebody that trusts us and that's pretty well placed to make sure it got done. Interesting. So and we also have good credit, and I mean, we didn't come to the table as for... I mean, we traditionally, you want to have good credit, because if you don't have a good credit score, it hurts you. Sure. So, and we don't have a lot of no fancy things, we all have maybe a house, but like, don't go buy yourself a $3,000 car payment. And you got to keep your personal debts low too, because then you hurt the business, because then you can't get lending for your business. So we had to have that conversation. Right. We need to be super focused and stay super frugal. Yeah, you're playing the long game for sure. Yeah. There's going to be a time where you'll be able to get all those things for yourself, and it'll be nothing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, you asked the question where we see stuff in 3 to 5 years, and I know I answered it in a very long formatted way, but simply put, we don't want to build it wholesale. We want to build it on the direct to consumer side, and for us, we have a number set in our mind of sales per year that we want to hit. And what does that number represent? Like, we made it?
Like, is that like the ultimate goal?
It represents we have a nice piece of the market now.
Okay.
And we know we want to get into the US. So right now we have maybe 25% of our sales in the US.
Okay, that's
by
pretty good.
August, we'll have 50%.
Really?
Yeah. And
how are you? So you guys are going hard on US?
Facebook. It's just about having the right processes in place to cater to a US customer.
Do you find that it's different marketing to them?
We
Like
thought
your
it was
approach?
going to be. We thought it was because 4 Canadian best friends.
Yeah.
What do I care about Canadians, right?
Yeah.
They care.
Yeah.
They like the story of the brotherhood.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
Right?
what it is.
They like and they like that.
Wow.
And every time at the beginning and even now today, when a customer buys in the US, I pick up the phone and I call him and I said, "Hey John, from Texas, how's it doing?" Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, why did you buy from Manmade? First off, where did you see us?
Yeah.
First, what gave you like the urge to try us? And does being Canadian bother you? Like us being Canadian? And they give me their answer. And now I build this customer in my mind. So when we do in our minds, so that when we do our marketing and we speak to this US customer, it's in a way where we understand them.
And how many, because, you know, Americans, some of them are super like, you know, America first, and if it's not made in the US,
Yeah.
I ain't buying it. I guess they're not buying.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they're not buying.
So I guess most of the people you have spoken to, the fact that you're Canadian, all good?
Yeah. They we have a good reputation, man, around the world. Like,
Yeah.
and in the US, I mean, a lot of there's the stereotypes where they still think we live in igloos and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I mean,
I know we're super friendly.
yeah, and we're super friendly. We're nice.
Yeah.
But we did a good job, I think, and kudos to our team. We did a good job of having a good social presence.
Yeah.
If you Google our company, if you look at our, I think we're at 1,500 5-star reviews within less than 2 years of being in business.
Pretty good, huh?
We have reviews on our website.
There's nothing to hate about your company. Like, honestly, like it's just like it's very easy. I can see why you said like you don't build customers, you build fans.
Yeah.
I think you said that once. 100%. Like it's.
Stole that one from Jake. Not that I stole it, but he said it, and then it makes sense. But it's
But
like,
you're right. They're doing it too. Like
Yeah. He's a huge inspiration.
Yeah.
So I met him. I actually, when we started Manmade, they were 2 years into their business, and myself and Robert went to their new facility.
Yeah.
And we spent an hour and a half talking to Jake and Nick. Like, super helpful, super nice. We have that brotherly love. He's a good friend of mine, Jake, because I see him at the gym too. He comes
Yeah.
to my gym, and they're super nice, very open book. They were very busy, and he spent like an hour and a half with me and Rob just explaining like
Yeah.
what went right with him, what went wrong with him. They're building a totally different business, but kudos to what they've done so far, and I think they're gonna kill it, right? I think they're gonna kill it, and huge inspiration. And he used to say that, I don't build fans, not customers. I believe that's his line, but I believe that too, because if your customer doesn't come first, you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to be so focused on your bottom line. You'll be
Yeah.
so focused on all the numbers, and you're going to forget about your customer. But at the end of the day, your customer is your lifeline.
Yeah.
If your customer's not happy,
Yeah.
dude, the best marketing is not the one you see on Facebook. The best marketing is when you go to a barbecue and you have 6 friends and you're drinking a beer and having a steak or ribs or whatever, or a burger, and you're like, dude, I'm fucking hot and this and that, and you're like, I'm wearing Manmade. Did you ever hear about them? No. They're amazing. Check them out. And then you spoke the word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's the gold.
100%.
And that's the intangible. You don't know unless you see the growth, and
Yeah.
you keep an ear on the ground. And that's something we really focus on, is consistently keeping an ear on the ground, getting feedback from our customers, and really being there for them. Like, really making sure everything is good. You know, we always want to do right by our customers. Always.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. I mean, you can take that philosophy to any business. I mean, I think Midday Squares is doing that. You guys did that. I think everyone who has done that or does that is eventually does well, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like, I became friends with you. You were my student initially,
Yeah.
and I have tons of students like that, and we do that. We say the money will come, but we're going to go above and beyond, and then we compare ourselves to other people in our space. And if you remember, all the time, I won't name drop the dead competitors, but they were all about their bottom line. Like, we saw you for an hour and 12 minutes, so that 12 minutes cost this much. And
Sucks, no?
I had a philosophy, and I still do it. I always round down. Like, we met for an hour and 50 minutes, we met for an hour, you know? And yeah, that goes a long way, you know, because then the student's going to tell their friend, like, he saved me. And I have students who have paid me a lot of money, who have paid our company a lot of money, and I'm saying, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking my money. You saved me.
Yeah, because it's huge stress for some kid. Like, I remember it's stress for them to learn on their own, or like.
I mean, it's your first, as a young person, you haven't been married, you haven't had kids, or you haven't had that big job. Like, this is your first big challenge is, it's university, and exams are like.
The test.
Yeah. You know, so, and it's super stressful for sure. So yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, I wish more businesses took that approach for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's good advice too. If you're listening, like, if you love your business, love your customer, everything else will follow, right?
Definitely. And you're going to have difficult customers.
For sure.
You need different people in the world to make a world. But if you listen to the customer, like, many times it's like you're trying to think as a business owner, I don't want to lose on this transaction. You feel like you've lost if you didn't make money.
Yeah. I think that's natural. It's a natural feeling. Like, you're going to feel that.
But you got to look at the big picture.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if the customer's content, they'll always come back.
Yeah, they're coming back for sure.
And you know, like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Like, you want that. You don't look at the short term.
Yeah.
Right. But dude, like, at the beginning, we had to be that, and also very, very frugal, very, very cautious. Right.
Are you, and we can cut this part out, but are you guys, were you profitable from day one?
Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah. Well, when we went on Dragons then, we were 8 months out, 6 months of sales. Out of that 6 months of sales, 50% was PR. So it was like getting on CTV, getting on the Montreal Gazette. Those things didn't cost anything. So we were profitable.
Yeah.
But when we spoke to the investors on Dragons then, they were asking us about CPAs and margins and like shipping costs and all that stuff. We knew we weren't optimized. Right? At the beginning, you sell 40 orders a day, 20, 15 orders a day. You're not getting the best rates.
Sure.
Right? You're not getting economies of scale.
Yeah.
But we knew that we had to refine our marketing spend, and where, we had to figure out what language and what way to present it worked the best.
Yeah.
Which Meta gives you that information. And then you're shipping 20, 30 orders a day. What do you think you're going to get? You're going to get the regular shipping rates.
Right.
And then you're looking for different shippers, different companies that do that, and you want to make sure that your customers gets this package on time, and there was that whole thing. But we knew that was something we had to work on. And then we also knew the cost of the good. We bought 10,000 pairs. We sold 100,000 in 2022, and this year we're going to sell about 300,000 pairs. You're getting economies of scale.
Sure.
We went to Sri Lanka not too long ago. We met our facilities. We went there. But we knew that those, like I said, the report card, we knew what the metrics had to be. We know what COGS need to be at. We know what shipping needs to be at. And we know what marketing needs to be at. Those are the three major expenses. Then you have your gross margin. But the thing is, those three, we have them like ingrained in our minds that in order for us to be profitable, they can be higher than X.
Right.
And anything you get less than that, it goes straight to your bottom line and straight in your profit, right? Straight in your EBITDA. Yeah. So we made sure that we knew that was the goal and that was the focus, and we worked on it, and we're really happy to say that we've done better, right? And but that took effort. Like, that was hard. That was really, really hard. But once you get that formula right, then you scale.
Yeah.
Right. So on Dragons, then Michelle, she was the one that knew her numbers. She's like, oh, so you're not making money on the first order. So if somebody orders from us the first time, you're breaking even. So you're making no money.
Because of what it costs you to acquire that customer?
Correct. Primarily.
Right.
And then you're hoping the customer comes back, and now you don't have to pay marketing on that customer anymore. So you're profitable.
Right.
Which was the case, because we had like a pretty decent amount of people, like direct to consumer wise for our ticket items. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
And we had that going. But what my point was is when I went on Dragons, then we were still profitable because we didn't spend on Facebook or Meta the way we are now. So we were profitable. But the metrics that she was asking about, we were breaking even on the first customer. Today, we're making a little bit.
On the first customer.
Yes. And because our product is good and the customer experience and all that stuff is good, customer comes back. And when he comes back, he's spending like 40% more with no marketing cost. So you could do little things where it allows you to really build that brand with the customer.
Is the customer spending more because the first order is like they want to see what it's like?
Yeah, average order on the first is you're looking at $70. So you're either buying one of our bundles, you're buying 2 of our boxers, you're buying 1 of our boxers with maybe a soap bar.
Yeah.
So you're the average is about that.
Yeah.
You're trying it, and then you order, and then we have like your order is being shipped, your order is being packed, your order has been picked up, your order is in transit, your order is delivered. Like you get emails along the way. Like that's really delightful for the customer. Then when the customer gets it, there's a handwritten note, there's a good packaging. Then they open it and the material's phenomenal on all our products, and they feel it, and then they try it, and they're like, wow, not only do I root for these guys because they're the David versus the Goliath story, but now they have a good now they have a good product. And all our branding is less about Manmade, and it's more about building a brand men need and deserves.
Yeah.
Right? Providing them the quality they need without the BS they don't. It's everywhere. That's the focus. Because men want that.
Yeah.
Right? They want that. So that's where we want to focus on, because we're not building a brand for us. We're building a brand for our customers.
Yeah.
And that's why we ask them, what's your next color? What products you want to see next? We're building it for them. Primarily, we're building it for them. And in turn, it suits us because I have a really cool t-shirt and good underwear and socks, and I wash myself with good soap.
It just so happens that you like that stuff.
So we like to think like that, like a Red Bull. You know, like Red Bull is a marketing company that happens to sell. So for us too, we're creating also, to add to my point, we're creating a marketing engine and a marketing machine that allows us to spread the word of building a brand many need and deserve, and providing good product that we approve of and that we love and they love.
So you're in the apparel business.
Yeah,
right?
Shmata business.
Yeah. And I've heard you have to be crazy to be in this type of business. Tell me what makes your boxer briefs special. So you spoke about the material. Like what else?
So a lot of the men that when we had that are our surveys, a lot of the men were complaining about the bunching, the writing, the chafing. They hated that. All men do. Sure. That's the reason why you changed your underwear.
Yeah.
So we made sure, right, to come out with a boxer brief that doesn't do that, that is just as breathable as cotton, that's moisture wicking, has a 4-way stretch, has a drop top fly, has an anti-itch band. Literally, you feel like you're wearing nothing, but you're supported at the same time. That's the goal. So, yeah, we're crazy. Doors have been slammed on us at the beginning when we tried to make it in Canada. You're crazy. What are you doing? Then the ones that actually wanted to give us a shot because they kind of saw maybe there's a bulb in their brain that I might be able to do business with, they charge us prices where we have to charge $60 a pair in order for us to make some money. And we knew that wasn't the brand we wanted to create. We wanted it to be affordable, fair.
Right.
So we said, okay, what's the next best option? So we went and we sourced where we source now our fabric, and we're really happy about that. It's actually a RAP certified manufacturer, and we could talk about that if you'd like later. But the point is that when we built this thing, we knew that we were crazy to even risk it all for it, but we knew that once men put this on, it's going to change their life.
Yeah.
And proof's in the pudding, right? We're 60,000 customers in, about 80 or 85,000 transactions down, and over 1,500 5-star reviews. We get emails almost daily saying how good the product is and how much they love the brand, DMs. We feel the love. So, yeah, at first it was crazy. A lot of people told us we're nuts, but almost 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And we have, I think, a pretty cool brand.
I think so. I think it's great. Let's talk about that, though.
Yeah.
You talked about where you source your material and where you get it manufactured. You recently went to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Beautiful country, I hear.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Was part of... Okay, so how did you... Like, 4 guys here, you're in a chalet, deciding you want to make underwear. How do you end up connecting with a manufacturer in Sri Lanka or somewhere in the world?
Story is amazing. Very, very funny. So you obviously, everybody does it. You go on Alibaba, you Google it, you try to figure that out. But we're like, we don't want to deal with Alibaba. We didn't want to deal with just get a product made, whitelist. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to build one from the ground up. So what we did was we found a gentleman that has over 40 or 50 years experience in the schmata business, in the apparel business. And he was in Toronto. So we contacted him. We told him what we wanted to do. He laughed on the phone. But I said, listen, we'll pay your hotel for one night, and we'll pay your gas. We'll feed you, and you're going to spend a day, 2 days, because he got in, let's say, in the afternoon. We spent a day. He went to bed, and then the whole next day he spent it with us, and then he went home. And we said, we just want to pick your brain, and we want to tell you what we want to do, and want to see if you can help us, because he was the sourcing guy, which they call in the businesses where he worked. And he had a pretty cool LinkedIn portfolio and profile. And when we read about him, he was well experienced. He was seasoned. So he came. He was great. He taught us about how it all kind of works. We kind of knew a little bit, but he reconfirmed it to us.
Yeah.
And then we basically told them, okay, this is what we want to do. You have the source. You have that. We want to stay away from these countries. We want to deal with these countries.
This is because of?
It was during COVID.
Right.
So we wanted to have the odds on our side. And I'm not going to say that, doing your product in China is bad.
It just wasn't the time for it.
It wasn't the time. And we wanted certain certifications to guarantee that we're not working with certain.
Sure.
And that there's a bit less happening of that there.
Yeah.
Well, now we learned, and we can easily find, and we found, for example, our T-shirt. But the thing is that at the time, we just dialed in on the boxer brief. I wanted to make sure we had all the odds on our side, and we looked at our competitors and where they got their stuff made. And we kind of figured if they're doing it there must be a reason.
Right.
So we told them that. Anyway, it was less about where the area was, just stay away from X areas. And then what happened was he sent us a list of different manufacturers. And now with this list of manufacturers, there's something called a tech pack. Okay. And a tech pack is like a design of all the measurements and the details of your product for them to make your product. Follow?
Okay.
We did that ourselves. It was so crazy. We got this old school schmata tech pack maker to come and measuring it on us. It was really...
Who designed it?
We did. We told them what to do. We Frankensteined the whole thing. But the person helped us make the tech pack. And I'll never forget messing around with the actual file. And Phil's trying to figure, it was scrappy. And then we sent it to the manufacturer after getting approval from this experienced tech pack maker. We sent it to the manufacturer, the list of manufacturers that this individual who we brought to our office gave us. And we asked them for a sample. Every single one. There was 20, there was 30 of them.
Okay.
It was pretty good. 30 out of 4 countries. And they sent them all, and we looked at construction, feel, fit. So construction, feel, fit. And now you have 4 finance guys looking at construction, but we became obsessed. So we could look at every seam, where it's sitting. If you notice on our boxer brief, any circumcised guys out there, our actual man sack, the inside of the man sack, the seam is not stitched with an overstitch. It's literally 2 pieces of material binded like this, and in the middle, it's nice and flattened so that the head of your penis doesn't rub against the stitch. We obsessed.
You thought about that?
Yeah, I thought about all that.
That's crazy.
And why we did the horizontal fly, it's because in case you're a right-handed guy or a left-handed guy, and if you don't use the fly, it's not in the way where Free Willy comes out when he's not supposed to during the day, and it rubs against your... There was a lot of seams in the back of the butt. You don't want the seams, so you're wearing dress pants, and it just doesn't feel as comfortable, blah, 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 blah. It was a lot of thinking, a lot of thought behind it. So we got all the different manufacturers to send us a sample. We looked at the samples for construction, fit, and comfort. And many days of figuring out which one we wanted to work with, we ended up going with the one we work with today. And that was the start of the relationship. But the thing is, when you deal with a manufacturer like we're dealing with, you're ordering 10,000 units, you're a speck of dust. So now how do you convince people miles and miles away from us, we're in Canada, so we'll call them kilometers. Yeah. Kilometers, that we're good people. We want to grow the next big thing, but you need to trust us.
Yeah.
They're looking at us like, okay, we're going to trust you, which they did, but I'm sure, they never said it, but I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, But we realized after that, I have this little team that they understand that there's e-commerce businesses out there that might be the new Gymshark.
Yeah.
Because that's how Gymshark started. That's a pretty cool story. I'll tell you that offline. But the point is they gave us a shot. And we got 10,000 pairs. And we launched. And out of the 10,000 pairs we sold, I don't know how many customers there were, but there was a couple thousand. And I called like 1,500 of them at the beginning.
First
feedback.
Yeah.
I love friends, family.
Yeah, you called me.
Strangers.
Yeah.
BC to the Atlantics, the whole thing. You could, if you're outside of our circle, I'm calling you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So got all that feedback. There were some things that needed to be corrected. We corrected them. And there's always that question that's asked. You corrected them. The iPhone 1 when it came out is not the same iPhone when the iPhone 14 came out.
No.
You need to evolve. You need to get better. It's not that our product wasn't good. It was good, but there were certain things that we needed to fix.
I mean, there's version 1. I mean, of course.
Version 1,
yeah.
version 2.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about the heavy version that comes out, but we're consistently, even the littlest thing you'll never realize, we fix. We want to fix. Not even a fix. Better it.
Yeah.
Just make it a bit better every year. Every year. We hired somebody purposely for that, to make our products a little bit better every year. And called these people, got the feedback. From that feedback, got on calls with our Sri Lankan manufacturers, told them what we needed to get fixed, worked that out. And then I remember February 9th, 2022 was the Valentine's Day. Ended up going on breakfast television as a feature, not even that we were being interviewed. And that's when everything, like, we had a killer product. And that's when everything started to boom. But I also want to say the first 10,000, everybody that supported, we thanked them. They're happy. We're happy, and we'll never forget.
Yeah.
Right. So those people, when they ordered again on the next batch, we took care of them. Like, we don't like to, we had that little bit of that worry that people are like, oh, there's a version 2, but it is what it is. Like, you're a startup. Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's unrealistic for anybody to think that somebody's going to have it right
the first time.
It
was decent. It was,
and I mean, right, like, have it perfect the first
exactly.
time. Yeah.
There's always things you obsess about.
Sure.
And to get a product from overseas to Montreal takes 9 months to 12 months, and if you're good, 6. And if you want to save it, that's come by ocean. So you got to calculate about 45 to 60 days to get door to door. And you need time for it to be produced. And you're not the only company that's being produced over there. And when we went to go visit the manufacturers over there, we knew that they were RAP certified. So RAP certified is a World Responsible Accredited Programming. What it means is they follow 12 principles. And you can go on our website, and you can go also on our Instagram or Facebook, and we've posted about it not too long ago. And there's a video that I actually made, and it explains the 12 principles. But the point is that they do things right.
Right.
They're accredited. There's big brands, massive brands that actually work with them. And yeah, so when we went to the facilities, obviously, you have the thing goes overseas, I'm sure it's hot. It's not the cleanest. You think all these things, right? You think all these, like, these stereotypes.
Sure.
Dude, you could eat off the floor. There was air conditioning. Employees were happy to be there. There's a union. There's 9,000 employees.
Those are not the places you hear about on the news.
No. Dude, it was crazy. It's an innovation center. There's everything.
Yeah.
Dude, they feed them breakfast. All the employees are fed breakfast, lunch, and supper. Transport to and from work. The people working on the line, many of them are women, but that's because they usually come from rural areas of the country, where if they didn't have that job, they would only be farming. That's how they live. And because of the manufacturing business in Sri Lanka that's really, like, helped their economy, gave them a possibility to earn real money, like money, and to learn a trade that otherwise they would have never been able to learn. They all want to be there. There's a medical center. Dude, it's crazy. It blew our minds, where we come in, the 4 young cobreros, the fratellos, and we're fat. We have a light, camera, mics, shooting content behind it. Nobody does that. People were freaking out. What is happening? We asked for permission, obviously. We know what to cut, what to do. But obviously, no company does that. Usually suppliers or companies go there, they meet, talk business, boom, 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 you're out.
The owners of the companies are not showing up.
Showing you we want to show you, because we could hear it over and over again. Why aren't you made in Canada? Why aren't you made in Canada? I explained it earlier on the podcast, but the thing is
do you want to pay $70?
Oh, no, it's better. They have better machines. They have machines from Italy, Germany. They have employees that they're happy. They were all giggly and happy. And I went on the lines during lunch hour. I ate with my hands because traditionally that's how they eat. And I had a conversation with their employees. We got deep. I asked them questions. They're all genuinely happy. And they said, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have a job. I live like X amount of kilometers away from here. They pick me up and bring me home, and I make a pay. And it's you pay double, time and a half overtime, two times if you're working on a holiday. Like it's like here. And you walk into a manufacturer here. I've been to many of them in our city. Wow, it's old school. You're going back in a time chamber in there. Like it's going back in time in there. Right? Where there, it's like it's state of the art.
State of the art.
So learned a lot about that, and it also solidified our relationship with our manufacturers. It showed them how serious we were. We spoke about certain things that we would like to get from them, aka terms and other things. But what was really cool is we got to break bread, as they say, and they love fruit. They have a lot of exotic fruit, so we broke fruit, a lot of it, and dinners and stuff. But the point is we solidified that relationship, and we continue to nurture it, because that's what it is. At the end of the day, any partner that you have, either internally or externally, is a partner. You need to nurture that relationship, and it needs to be a win-win in both cases. As soon as it becomes a win-loss, you think you're on the winning side, that you're gaining. You're actually going to lose. So you need to make it always a win-win. So it was a long form on an answer, but the whole...
It's a great story. I mean, it's great to hear, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot you could take out of that. We've tried marketing. I think what you did with like getting out on the street and...
Guerrilla marketing,
I think we need to do that too over there. Like just like paying somebody to hand out a flyer is not cutting it.
No. You need to be and make content.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like learning a lot from you guys, and like when I get there, a lot. I'm gonna literally get down to the schools and get in their face.
Yeah, you have to. I think being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, so people think it comes naturally to me, which it kind of does, in the sense where I don't. That stuff doesn't stress me.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm okay with you saying like "fuck off." You know, somebody telling me, "Hell, get out of my face," or "Stop," or "Leave me alone." Sorry. Be respectful, obviously, when you go up to people. But I'm okay with like shooting on net 10 times and only scoring once. You know, like that was the philosophy being in soccer for a very long time in my life. Just try. But it comes naturally. But then again, it gives me the itchy, like it makes my like little butterflies in my stomach, because you're like, gotta get into character in the sense where you need to be okay with going up to complete strangers to ask them to get in their underwear.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And comment about one like that was tough, like that wasn't easy. But I feel like where energy goes, I forget where energy flows or something like that. I forget what he says, Tony Robbins. But you have to put the energy of where you if you put your energy into something, it'll give you a result. So my energy to this was like, I need to get like 10 people to try the underwear. I ended up getting 20. It was freaking weird. It was crazy. And you need to be excited. Somebody that, hey, you want to try my underwear? Hey, John, how are you today?
Yeah.
Tell you what, have you ever... tell you what, I'll make you try the best underwear you've ever tried in your life.
Yeah, it's different.
What do you mean? Have you ever heard of Manmade? We're 4 best friends. Check out, we're on the front page of the Montreal Gazette. We have a changing room. If you try this underwear, we'll even gift you a nice little gift at the end. Please, give us a try. You'll have some fun with us.
Yeah, who doesn't? It's just fun.
I asked 5 people, 3 told me to go F myself, 2 told me to come. But seriously, that's what it is. But then you also have to be kind of wise, go to the guy with his wife, and they look like they're lovey-dovey, and the wife pushes him, do it, and then he does it. And you got to go to certain people where you can kind of see this guy fits, he would do it, versus this guy, he's more shy, he's probably not going to do it. So don't waste your time there. So it's like build a skill. But the guerrilla marketing works. It works not for just the one person that you're going to convert. It's because of the platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You can then take that content and show it to thousands of people.
Yeah.
Right. And then they relate to that because it's real people, unedited, raw, and then it builds it. dude, at the beginning, like, I don't know if you remember, like when we started this thing, like it was cringeworthy, some of the stuff that we put out there. Like it was like, it was tough. You're a 30-year-old man, just quit the bank. A lot of my partners also quit their jobs, known to be CPAs, finance guys, wholesalers. They have like a pretty extensive list of people that they've worked with in the finance world, where now you're in your underwear, you're being a little crazy, you're doing things that are pushing limits. But never once did we ever care.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
Like I care, but I don't care. Like if you tell me like you're an idiot, whatever, I love that. It fuels me.
Yeah.
Fine. You think that? No problem. But yeah, like posting on LinkedIn, the organic stuff helped get the waves started, give you a good direction, understanding of where you are. And then once you start getting really good at it, then you could put some dollars behind it and really start testing the market on a bigger scale.
Are you, have you sold anything outside of North America?
Yeah, we did actually. So TikTok actually opened Pandora's box to all over the world. But the thing is that you buy a pair of underwear or 2 pairs of underwear or 3 pairs of underwear, and the cost of shipping it to you is the cost is like you're paying like $48 for 2 pairs of underwear, but it's going to cost you $50 to ship it to you.
Oh yeah.
So, and then it goes to customs, and then it's got to pass customs, and then who's paying the customs duty fee? So we did a couple of those because we got big demands on TikTok to like send it to me in Netherlands or Germany or Poland or Italy or whatever. And we did it just to test it. And then we said, nah, you're not set up for that. Like, let's focus on Canada, US, that's our market. Then when we want to get international, you need a warehouse set up there, come like properly. And then if you ship out of there, it's all within the, like it's done properly.
Yeah.
You don't
that gets into the whole, like, you want to be hyper-focused right now. And that would not go with that.
So that was a learning with the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Where when we sat down, because there was one or two of us, they're like, oh, we should try it. And we tried it. And it kind of worked, but then we're like, hold on, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation and we learned from it, and we said we need to stay dialed, super dialed. Because we even steered a little bit, like we were about to get into a major retail store, and it didn't work out because it didn't make any sense. But then we got back to the table and said, guys, we need to stay focused. And that's like maybe it's over 6 or over, I think last year.
Okay.
But we need to stay focused, right? And ever since we really just focused on one thing, which is the online, it's been going good. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
We've been growing month over month. We're seeing some good growth, some good numbers. There's definitely a need for Manmade on the market.
I think so. I think for sure. Again, more specific, this is coming from a student, but it seems very specific, I guess. So I know that when you started, it was just you 4, but now I from following you guys, I see that you've enlisted, what's his name?
Rodrigo?
No. The funny guy.
Oh, Matthew Giuffrida.
Yeah. So you've obviously started like,
doing more content with him.
So who comes up with your content? Do you have a marketing agency that you work with? It's all you guys, and do you produce it yourselves, and how much of that is done in-house? How much of that is outsourced? Like, do you have a marketing agency that you work with?
So when we started the whole business, a lot of people were like, oh, influencer marketing, podcasts. Let's put a bunch of money everywhere, right?
Okay.
But like it's like when you invest in a stock market. You know those guys that have like 10 grand, and they buy like $500 worth of every share, and they lose everything.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't have enough money to be diversified that way.
Yeah.
So do your research, pick 1, max 2 stocks, and just stick to that. But 1 is probably the best bet. And if you hit, you hit.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing, right? So at the beginning, I must have called over like literally, dude, like 200-300 influencers who wanted 7 grand, who wanted 10 grand, who want just for shout outs or story posts or a reel or a TikTok. It was crazy. It's like, but if I spend $10,000, I know that I need, let's say, marketing to be at 30-40% max in order for me to break even, let's say. So if I give you 10, are you going to guarantee me $30,000 of sales? Well, no, it's brand awareness. But I get it. But It's 10 grand. I'm a startup. You want to work with me? Because at the end of the day, there are some content creators that saw the potential, gave us a break, and today we're working closer and closer and closer together, aka Matt. So going back to what I was...
Did you know him already? Because
Yeah,
you guys are from the same world, right?
Yeah, so at the beginning, so exactly, and he's a very well-known Montrealer.
Sure.
Very talented. I remember reaching out to him, asking him to do some content for us, which he did when we had first started, and we brought him into the office, and we said, look, we usually do this on the phone or over a video call, but like I feel a connection with you, like you're a good dude and you're smart and you're like super talented, and we knew some people in common. Why don't you come to the office and we'll give you even more of details, meet my partners. And we did that. We had a big meeting, an hour, 2-hour meeting, met everybody, saw the vision, and he kind of saw the growth throughout, let's say, the last year, 18 months, 19 months. So it kind of like, he believed us, he's seeing it flourish, and now we're working more and more together. And I'll explain why after I explain. When we started, there was the influencers, and then we tried some like ads with a podcast, aka Boomsies, great guy, Dan O'Toole, remember from Dan and Jay?
Jay and Dan, yeah.
Great guy. It worked. We chose one, right? It was him and Tony Marinero.
Yeah.
And so we chose him on the radio, and we were really like focused on, if we put $1 in marketing, it needs to equate to less than 50% or 30% of like the equation of revenue. Like it can't be, if we put $1, we need to make at least 2 or 3 in revenue. It has to be, because if you start putting in money where, oh, this big influencer is going to talk about me and the world will know me. No. Because that influencer is talking about this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing.
Yeah.
You're going to be really popular for that 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and then it's gone. It's consistency. You have to be consistent. It needs to be repetitive. So we didn't go down that route because we realized really quickly we would bleed a lot of money in there. So we said we got to do everything internally. Everything. And then we have to handpick the right players to work with that get what we want to do, like who we are, like our product, like our brand, and believe in us, aka Matt, Tony, and all these other guys that we worked with really closely when we had first started. And that's what we did. And then we decided to do, our own content. We need to get really comfortable in front of the camera. So it took like 6 months, a year, if not longer, to we started with the trends on TikTok, realized that was just building like not real customers. It was just building like people that like to see us in our underwear or like other things. And there were some good customers, but primarily it wasn't really working the trends. So we decided to say, okay, let's do the whole thing, the behind the scenes, which you see now. A lot of our content now is behind the scenes, our brotherly love, the team effort, the David and Goliath type of framework, and like really building this thing from the ground up. And all our content, if you want to be scrappy, like I said earlier to the gentleman who asked about the business and starting one, being scrappy is the one thing that I would say has contributed to our success so far, is that if you have X amount of money and you need to buy product and you kind of we needed a software engineer, right? Like nobody really knows how to code in our office and we wanted to make things custom. You couldn't allocate tens of thousands of dollars in marketing, actually producing marketing. Forget about even the ads that you're going to do, that you need money for that, right? You need money in order for the ads to be out there with your audience. So we did it all ourselves. No, like we went at the beginning. If you remember, we had a picture with a guy we found on Facebook, Xavier. He's a really nice guy. Okay. He did like 3 or 4 photo shoots together, and we love him. But we had him, and then we had some female models, and we tried to go down that direction. Yeah. But that was building something that wasn't us. So we had a meeting, and we said we'd call it the right movement. We went full swing, and we said it's only us. That's what people want. And that's what's cheaper.
As in, you guys are the face.
The face. You guys are. We do the marketing. We do the shoots. We do the content. We're building this brand because we want to be able to have the efficiencies put in place where the business is running smoothly without the need of us being constantly there, which we're nowhere close to being right now. But that's the goal, and we have to just worry about making content, being creative. What better job can you have than sitting in a room with your brand and saying, how can we be more creative? How can we do content? Because the goal is that you see, back in the day, traditionally, if you were a bigger brand, Nike, Adidas, all these guys, big pockets, deep pockets, have the money to invest in Super Bowl commercials with the Habs, big hockey players, athletes being ambassadors, only deep pockets. So if you had deep pockets, you had the good marketing, you had the sales, you knew how to run your business, you had a business.
Right.
Today, with social media, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it creates this pool of individuals, of businesses that can now compete. And not only could they compete, they can outperform, maybe not in top line revenue, but they could outperform because they have agility. They have creative free will, free power. I don't have to report to a board of directors to do something.
Yeah.
I have to stick to brand. And the brand is my brand. I know the brand really, really well. So do my partners. So we could be creative and the juices can flow. Where like other companies, before they make a decision,
takes like a year.
And sometimes the decision they made a year before worked culturally, aka Budweiser, but now when they come out with it, they went from number one to dropping very rapidly because they made a decision based on some stupid, anyways, I don't want to get into it, but based on things that like I could just see how the corporate ladder would work. And then see people are thinking like, but maybe one day you'll become that big. Right? Maybe not, because you can stick to being a company doing 100 mil a year, where you're nowhere as big as like the billionaire club, but you make 100 mil a year in revenue, and you could still stay 30 employees, 40 employees.
Yeah, if you scale properly.
And still have that creative mind and have fun with it, and be really passionate about doing what you're doing every single day. Like that's a cool thing to do.
It's going to be hard to write the cards to get to 100 million. But
yeah.
You'll find a way, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll find a way. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like we've scaled the unscalable with the cards, with personalized emails with our customers, with a lot of things. Like one guy packing 500 orders a day, like that's pretty. I'm really happy about that, right? So it's very efficient.
500 orders a day.
Yeah, 500. He could pack 500 orders a day. One guy.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously our cards have like, first time, second time, third time, fourth time. You could prepare yourself in advance, but your name is on the card and it's personalized, it's handwritten. So it's not gonna be one by one, or else that would take forever. I've gone the systems there's a system in place.
Yeah.
I have a packing slip that on the packing slip, I know the number of times you've ordered, the value of I have a lot of information based on just the one packing slip, because we want to deliver that customer the best. So if you've come to me 3 times already, well, maybe I'll give you a gift with your purchase. Why not?
Yeah.
Let you try something else.
Why not?
Right? You love us. I love you. Like, here, try. You can only do that in I'm trying to build like the restaurants, when you walk in, it's like 4 or 5 times you're there, you go with your family every single time, the guy gives you a dessert at the end, or he'll take out the grappa or whatever we drink, and you'll have it. It's like that. I want to build that. How do you build that on a scale? How do you build this online? So we're always trying to think that way, and that's what makes us, I think, very different. And I think that's what makes us love what we do, So even sometimes our bundles, we've had bundles that are limited time offers, but sometimes we have really good customers and say, oh, that bundle you had on Dragons then? When can I get it? Why can't I give it to you?
Yeah.
It's like the osobuco you want to order, but it's not on the menu, but they have a sick osobuco in the restaurant. You talk to the waiter, he knows you. Hey, dude, you think you can give me that osobuco? I've been craving it. It's a week. Sure. For you, no problem. Right? So creating that, it's really special. That's what I feel like I love the most, is like really having a customer that's really happy with you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there.
So marketing all done internally, fulfilling is done internally, design is done internally. The only thing we kind of outsource is literally the production part of the fabric of the products. Nobody knows how to sew.
Which makes sense, yeah. Even if you knew how, you
wouldn't be able to. Exactly. So you have no choice. But that's how we stay scrappy. That's how we have control over everything. That's how we know that things are going in the right direction, and it gives us that edge where it makes us agile, and at the same time gives us that that knowledge that I think a lot of companies may be lacking. Yeah,
for sure. I guess one thing that I wanted to, maybe we can.
You can
end on this.
Don't be shy to ask me anything.
Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people, we're all fans of those shows, right? Like, I'll binge watch Shark Tank, Dragon's Den. So I want to hear about the experience. I want to hear and I'm sure young people or anyone who has a business like dreams about, or possibly dreams about being on these shows.
Yeah.
Tell us about, as much as you can, obviously, about the whole process. Like, how did you get on the show pretty quick? I mean, you guys were like 6 months out, you said? And
yeah.
Is that typical?
No.
Right. So how did you get on the show? What was the whole experience like? And like, where are you now? Like, as obviously as much as you can tell us, like, where are you now with that?
Yeah, I'll tell you everything.
Okay.
So growing up, the four of us, we all of us ironically watched the show like you did.
Sure.
Right? We loved it.
It's
and
a
it was
great
like
show.
always a dream. I don't know, it was like I used to watch it and be like, it'd be so cool. And I used to always be like, even the guys who bombed terribly,
Yeah.
I'd be like, it takes balls
Yeah.
to go on national television and to pitch your business and
Sure.
put it on a pedestal like that. And then after that, either get it dismantled or whatever, or sign a deal, right? And that's really cool. So it was always a dream of ours. And we were early. And I remember being at an offsite, okay? The offsite that we do yearly. And one of our things was get on Dragons Den. And we discussed it internally and saying, do you think maybe it's too early? Because, you know, we don't have a lot of sales and it's like, you know, like maybe we'll get like destroyed on the show. I said, well, some of us said, yeah, but you know, when else are you going to go? You know, like now is when we kind of need it.
Yeah.
So we had a little meeting about it and we said, okay, let's do it. And when we do something, I got to give kudos to us. We go full throttle ahead. And that's what we did. So the way it works is that you have to make an auditions open, right? So you can actually send your application. So our application process where you can submit your application with a short 1-minute video as to what your business does and why you want to get on the show and what makes you different and all that stuff. And then you fill out an online form, sales, blah, 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 blah. They want to know some information about all that, all the personal stuff. You send the video and you see what happens. So we did that. We filled out the form online. We made the video. We were doing videos at the time ourselves in terms of edit-wise. This one, we ended up getting someone off on Upwork to help us edit it like really cleanly,
right?
Clean before we hired an actual video editor. We have one now full-time. But before we got there, we used to edit ourselves. It wasn't the best, but it was scrappy and it was good enough. We edited the video. We submitted it. The video was really done during the winter. The ending, I think we posted on Instagram, so anybody that's willing to watch it, if you scroll into there, you'll find the application video, because with that exact video we then made, and at the time we had a couple of thousand people on Instagram and Facebook as part of our community, we then made a reel asking our community to share and tag CBC Dragons Den to help our chances of getting an actual audition. Okay? So, guys, we applied to Dragons Den. We need you to convince Dragons Den to have us on the show. That thing popped. So we have a relationship now with the Dragons Den producers, and they told us that the phone blew up. So that thing got shared over 2,000 times and tagged 2,000 times. So imagine on your DMs how many times you see that.
Yeah.
And
it just flooded there.
And our community that we had, every time you would open your stories, you would see our thing.
Yeah.
And then on the Dragons Den page, on one of the posts, people were tagging it. Like, it was madness. And we really, honestly, I'm going to get emotional because people really stood up to the fucking plate for us, you know, and then it creates this need that now you feel like you're doing it, you have to win. Yeah. You know, it's like you made the playoffs and now it's like you have to win the Stanley Cup type of thing. We got the call. Bang, they sent us an email. You have an audition, because it was COVID times. The audition wasn't in person in Toronto. It was actually a video call. So many people, they get ready for the video call, they do their audition, they pitch their business, why they want to be on, they answer a couple of questions at the end, and then the producers decide if they want to have you on the show or not. I forget how many thousands of people auditioned, applied, and I think it got shortlisted to like 800 or 900 people across Canada, and then from there they only take like 70 or 80 people. We didn't shy away from making it boring. We had the video, we got in our underwear, we did a skit, we made sure to make it funny, we made sure to be, you know, different. We answered the questions. We filmed the whole thing. Like, so we have the video, like we're doing the video like this.
Yeah.
In the back of the computer, we have like our friend who's a video editor at the time. He wasn't our employee, he's a buddy. He came, he filmed the whole thing that we did. So we're able to share it on Instagram after.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then we found out that we ended up getting on the show. So we got the email, all excited. You guys got invited to the show, yada, yada, yada. It's on this day. And then I forget what there was that day, but we couldn't make it. So we're like, oh my God,
wow,
we can't make it to that day. But they were cool. They made us go the week after, which was cool. But then we're like, is it better to be at the beginning? They started playing with mind games, but at the end of the day, nobody cares, right? Just do a good performance.
Beginning, like you had to pick.
They wanted us to be one with the second or the first or second pitch
of the day
of the season.
Oh wow!
Because we recorded this in May. It was Mother's Day. I remember it was Mother's Day, the weekend that we were there. And that was like a week after the actual original date.
Right.
And I think it was because we were receiving stock. There was something going on that we needed to be there. So they allowed us to do it the week after. And we started asking ourselves, maybe it was good that we would have done it at the beginning. Maybe they do all the good guys at the beginning. Maybe at the end they save it to roast us. But then we just got out of our minds and we did what we always do. We saw other people that went on Dragons then. We found them. You know, there was Spraynet, Carmela Marsala. There was a dog nutrition company that went on that I found on LinkedIn that I ended up getting on a call with. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name right now. But the point is there was a couple of people on Dragons that went that I asked them if we can get on a call. And just to how to go, you know. They told us, Adam Spivak from Hush Blankets. They went on Dragons then too. They crushed it and they're crushing it. They actually sold their company to Sleep Country for 50, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was buzzing about going and we were all freaking out, but we knew that basically they all said the same thing. Know your numbers. You're finance guys, so it shouldn't be hard. But then again, you know your numbers, but like there's so many moving parts. We're so fresh in the business. You don't want to like hurt yourself by any means. So, and you need to be short. It can't be like super elaborate about everything. Even though usually it's 45 minutes a pitch, right? 45 minutes a pitch. We ended up being there for an hour and a half.
And they show us like 5 minutes?
9 minutes, 7 minutes or 9 minutes. I had a whole speech on that thing. It was crazy. I think I had one of them crying and they didn't show it. Yeah. Because they're like, why, 4 friends and they went into the whole thing like, it looks like it's doing great and it looks like you're having a great time and you guys are going to succeed, but statistically they usually fail. And then I went off and I just ripped it, you know. So
do they send you guys the full pitch?
No, I wish. I asked them. They didn't send it. They didn't send the raw stuff. No. But yeah, so then before going to the actual thing, we made sure to get our numbers all straight. We had our pitch. We practiced. We went the day before to rehearse at the hotel and just to make sure we were super ready for it. The thing is that the day we got there was 3 or 4 people before us and they all came out crying.
No deal crying? Like
no deal, like I was destroyed. Like
yeah.
I don't know what happened. I just saw the tears and I saw them upset, you know?
Yeah.
You're in your green room right now and you're like, okay, like they must be like on savage mode. So we didn't get that, you know. We looked at each other and being 4 actually helped in that moment because we're like, guys, we got this, you know. We have they're 6, we're 4, right? And like we're all like, if we've done this before where we go into situations where maybe one guy in the moment he's like blacking out, but there's another guy right next to him that he's there to answer the question, and we're pretty good with that. So we just focused in, we dialed in, we did the pitch. An hour and a half later, the Dragons came out in their boxers. They went really well. The product was good. We answered the questions properly. We ended up getting a bit of a rumble between 2 sets of Dragons that were fighting versus us. And we ended up getting the deal, shook the hands. And then the way it works is then they send you a proposal, like basically compliance stages, right? And we obviously did our due diligence, sent it to our lawyer, read it ourselves. We have a lawyer, we sent it to him. He looked into it, and there was some clause in there that if we were to sign it, it would maybe hurt us, handicap us in the short term, because these things take time. It doesn't happen overnight, right? So we went back and forth with the Dragons, and we just decided for the time being that we were going to put this on ice, simply because our company was on growth, was growing, and our valuation that we had when we pitched in May was much different when it launched and aired, the episode in September, end of September, right? So
right.
we went May, beginning of the year. Now we're in like almost October, entering the holiday season, and the evaluation completely changed. Numbers changed. Like, you're literally fresh. Like, these things are changing every month.
Right.
So we didn't. It didn't go through the compliance stages, but we have a very good relationship with them. We asked them if we could put this on ice. They said sure. Right? They're not there to hurt entrepreneurs. They're there to help entrepreneurs.
Right. And it's not like you had a contract at that point, right? Or, I mean, I'm not sure how it works.
No,
like just
on air is
air.
one thing. When air is on one thing, and then it has to pass the diligence. Actually, fun fact, I think like 10% actually go through, even if they're signed, even if they're shook on air.
10% of the deals made actually end up going through?
Yeah. Because of this.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Look at the time lapse. And a lot of these guys are startups, right? And like, if you have a good business, your shit's going to change in 6 months.
No kidding.
It changes monthly, right? So, so we just decided to put it on ice. But fun fact, Michelle, who is the queen of DTC, Clearco, they actually lend money financing to businesses like ours, because traditionally, like I said, banks don't understand Facebook and CPMs and CPAs and cost per clicks. They don't get that, right? So they don't understand that. But her company is a bank, right?
Right.
But they lend, show me your portfolio on Facebook and I can tell you if you're doing it right.
Really?
And I'll lend you money accordingly.
Wow.
So that's her business. So we kind of wanted to go in there with her, but she had her stance, which it was what it was, which was, you're not profitable on the first customer right now. And I've been here before, and just keep doing what you're doing, but maybe not now, maybe in the future.
Right.
But fun fact, we obviously gifted all the dragons, the boxes you saw online on TV.
Yeah.
She gifted it to a special guy in her life, and came back in like November and like smashed it. Like, she just bought a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I sent her a video message saying, hey Michelle, thank you so much, we love you, we always think about like the show, and like we appreciate the opportunity and all that. And then she sent one back saying, you guys are really, I watch you, you're crushing it, keep doing what you're doing. And then we went to the Dragons Den Market, because they invited us to be alumni to the Dragons Den Market a year later, and we met her again. So we have that relationship with them. So it's not gone.
Right.
They just know we're super focused on building the business, and there will come a time, and we're not going to just give out equity just to give it out.
Sure.
A lot of people, though, are like, but they're seasoned entrepreneurs. You guys think you're better than them. It's not the point.
Right.
The point is that anybody listening, if you're going to go VC funding, no one knows your business better than you do. So you have to make sure that whoever you get into bed with business, you've dated them, and you know that they're there for the business, right? And less about the investment, because obviously the investment needs to flourish, and that's what business is about. But any partner that you do get into the business needs to believe in the core of the business.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't, but Dragons Den, they have their own businesses. Like, they're dealing directly with them.
They're not waking up thinking about you.
They're not, exactly. Right. So before we make any equity decisions, we're gonna exhaust all options.
It's still just you four.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Just us four.
Best.
Yeah, we plan on doing that as long as we can.
As long as possible.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I mean, if you have a line of credit now that you can use to get inventory, I mean,
it's going to bring us to the point where we need to get to for, let's say, next year. In order to grow, we're going to need more and more and more. And if you're proving yourself to the bank and your report card is good, the bank will trust you. Right? The more your business grows and the more they see that you're pouring that money into actual inventory and less into your marketing and your other stuff, they'll lend it to you.
Sure.
They'll lend it to you. You got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. Right? We're 4 finance guys. One of them being a CPA, the other guy being a finance.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps. Like having those different skill sets. So
back to your school question. All my partners went to school. We had this conversation in Sri Lanka, actually. How we're going to raise our kids, type of thing. Like, you're going to push them to go to school or not. I'm not going to get into the results of them, but obviously the supply and demand thing was true, right? Back then there was more demand and a lot less supply of people going in school, right?
Right.
Now, everyone's going to school.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you want to do, if you really feel like you're doing something and you want to do something different and you really have the passion for it, you want to go for it, go for it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best learning.
Yeah.
So Dragons Den, it's on ice. It was an awesome experience. Anybody that's thinking about getting on that show, it was probably hands down one of the highlights of my career, right? Everything.
Yeah.
You're on national television. I'm in my underwear, John.
Yeah.
Like, that also played with me. You know, like it's like okay, it's one thing doing it on Instagram and all that stuff. This is television, but you just believe in your stuff so much that you'll do anything to get your point across, to get your, you know, it's also, we knew it was a way for us to showcase our business on national television for free.
That's the thing,
right?
You know, I'm sure, I know that there's, you know, they say like the Dragon's Den effect, the Shark Tank effect. Like I'm sure, there must have been an uptick that day.
Yeah.
When you aired.
So there was funny story. We thought it was gonna be more than it actually was. We airshipped a bunch of product to make sure we were ready for it. We ate quite a bit of profit off of that. That's fine. It's a learning thing. But to add to that, Dragon's Den has single-handedly at the time bumped our sales by at least 50%. So that means if we were doing 75 sales a day, if we were doing 100 sales a day, we started doing 150 sales a day.
And that you just moved up, and then you kept growing from there.
Yeah, and we used a lot of that content in our content. We didn't own, we use it as part of our story.
Yeah.
You know, right? It's like it's part of us now.
Yeah.
It's an intangible. Like that's like we did it. Right?
Yeah.
It's done. Now we can always talk about it. Talk about it now with you. It's over a year.
For sure.
So
you'll talk about it forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a really cool thing. And anybody that's thinking about getting on that show, do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. It's not the same viewership that it was pre-internet or pre-streaming and Netflix and all that stuff. But there's people that watch it. A lot of people still, right? And sometimes it ends up back on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And if you go on CBC Gem, you got it there all the time. And it's about what you do with it later. So fun fact, because we did the whole thing with the tagging with Dragon's Den, and we made a mess online with promoting the show, the producer told us that they used us as a case study on why they should leak some pictures and some video clips to companies because they use it on their social platforms and it's a free source of marketing for them. Right? That we pumped it. Our episode had more viewership than other episodes because we pumped it. We talked about it. We used it in our marketing. It was a big deal for us. It still is. So that's, and it worked. That's why we had the leakage of pictures before it actually aired. Now we're trying to get some video, but it's a little tougher to do, especially now that it's aired. But yeah, looking forward to season 18. I watch it religiously before bed or.
That's a great show. I just like the stories and making the deal, and you root for I hope he gets a deal with him. Everyone has their horse too. When we watch these, you have your favorite investor.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has them. So yeah, I love those shows. I love that you were on it. I remember where I was. I told you. I think I was.
Yeah, your wife sent.
We were at dinner.
Yeah.
At I want to say
Sophia
Laval, the opening night that they opened. And I said, we have to, and we had it on the table, man, and we were just watching it, and it was crazy. It was cool.
There was actually Table 51. One of my partner's sisters works there part-time. And across, I think they have 2 locations.
I think so.
One. Anyways, the one that she works at, which is the biggest one in Laval,
right?
They had it on TV.
Really?
So the whole restaurant was watching it. So it was fun. That's we got started business less than a year ago.
Yeah.
It's a high, right? Yeah. So you just keep riding that wave. And there's days that you don't feel like doing, there's certain, we're not machines.
Yeah.
There's certain days that shit happens in your life that you become a little bit more depressed or more anxious or your head's not there. But you got to treat your business like your children.
Yeah.
You got to treat your business like a baby. We do it. That's what we call it. We call it our child because we want the best for it. And the more you nurture it, the more it grows healthy and strong.
For sure. It's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Obviously, I'm glad we did this in person too. The first take was good. I enjoyed it, but this isn't.
It's different when it's in person.
Yeah,
you get to feel the vibe. It's I see you. I can touch you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's it's nice.
Yeah. All right, man. I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let you get to your meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Having me on your podcast. Known you a very long time, John.
Yeah.
A very long time.
And it didn't start off.
It didn't start off.
There was that time where you were waiting for me in my lobby.
Yes, I remember. I was super stressed about a class, And you told me wait for me at the lobby. I think 2 hours passed, and then you didn't come.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, like, if you're gonna have students or something, you have to make sure you're there.
Yeah. It was the beginning.
And ever since then, you've never been late ever again.
Yeah,
so
no.
Maybe I had an effect on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the early days of my stuff too.
For sure.
And I was like half being a young idiot and half trying to make this business. So yeah, it was definitely, I learned from that. But yeah, I think after that.
Yeah, you were the guy. You were the guy back in Concordia, and you still are the guy. I remember you helped me through a lot of stuff. I had a lot of things going on in my life. Couldn't make all the classes. Didn't learn well by just reading a textbook. And you simplified it enough for me so that I can get to the exam prepared. And I always wanted you to make it into like a real life scenario because that's how I see it better. And you were able to do that flawlessly. So I have to say, you were a huge part of my later years in Concordia, because my early years were miserable.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I have fun. I mean, obviously, like, if I didn't love doing this, I mean, I wouldn't be doing it after this. I just crossed 10 years, you know, so.
Yeah, you have a talent. And I want to touch on that 2 seconds. Like, anybody listening to this, or yourself included, me, you know, everyone's born with a gift. And sometimes it's numbers, and sometimes it's art, and sometimes it's physics and science and whatever. Or sometimes it's whatever, like soft skills, art skill,
right.
Whatever it is. But you know what your gift is. And if you don't know, explore it harder, because you hear your gut telling you something. There's a voice in your mind or your gut that's telling you, you're good at this, and you see that you're good at something. Double, triple, quadruple times it, like, go hard on that. Like, focus on your skills, be self-aware.
Right.
Focus on what you're good at, and try to be better at the other things, but don't focus so much on that. Focus on what you're good at. I think if you double that and you put your energy into that, things will happen.
Yeah.
Good things will happen. You need to be patient. So I think your skill is you're patient. You're able to explain things in a manner where it's easier to understand. And you're a good heart and very giving. You're very giving. Like, you want to give more than you receive, which doesn't make someone feel defensive or protective, and it just makes for a better relationship. It just makes for a better experience. So that's something that I always, because I dealt with other tutors and stuff, and it's just very transactional. And when it becomes transactional and they're talking, it's like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
For you, it was like relatable. And now the relatability, and if I didn't understand or someone didn't understand in the class, you would explain it again and differently, and not get upset or annoyed. So that was like something you have a skill for. I found that back in the day. And your soft skills are very, like, you're open, you're caring, you're giving. You're a good vibe.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So keep that up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not the best at like somebody would take a compliment and they'll be like, "Oh, thank you so much." And for me, like, I appreciate hearing it. I just don't know how to react to it.
It's
so
like most things.
If I look like a brick wall now, it's because I'm taking it to heart.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's like opening a gift, right?
Yeah.
In front of a whole family. You know, it's your birthday. You're rocking the day. You have to open a gift, and you have to be like, "Oh, I love it," even though you do like it. But like, maybe. Yeah. But it's not even for you to react. I just want you to know that.
Appreciate that.
So anybody listening, if you have a gift, double time, go full pin on that. Focus on that, and really full-heartedly accept it, and give it your all on that. And don't worry so much about the things that you're lacking. Try to improve. Always do better. But really be known for that, for your thing, right? And everybody has that. So
I think it's great advice.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you for being here.
I'll do this anytime you want.
Yeah, man. Let's do it again.
Yeah.